alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show Thursday, live from the Shaw, baby. Doing it live. I'm right here, Fancy Brian. I can see you, man. You're right there.
I exist.
You're super sexy up close.
Well, I mean, that's what all the people say.
And we got Evan back in the world headquarters, Madison, Wisconsin, lightly screening the phone calls, 844-967-2789. My understanding, Dominic joining us here in the Shaw as well. It's nice when we see each other in person, Dom and I.
Well, my handsomeness is going to be eclipsed then.
Yeah, you know, we might get distracted.
I'm already distracted.
So you're saying he's the better half of the party, the easier to look at half.
Oh, no. It ruins it for the rest of us. Other people perceive that way. Us, no.
You know, I got a little sniffle today.
You got a button there.
Well, yeah, but no tissue, man. I got a sleeve. Well, you know what, Fancy? Let's just jump into the politics. Maybe if I ignored it, it will go away. Do you remember that time where Tucker Carlson needed a favor from Hunter Biden? Do you remember that time? Were you aware?
I did not. I was not aware.
Tucker went looking, sought specifically the help from the son of the former vice president.
Very influential man, I'm told.
Here, it's being reported at the Washington Post. A look at the time Tucker Carlson asked Hunter Biden for a favor, though. The Fox News host often ridicules the president's son, but years ago, the two were close. Did you know that? Well, now you do. I'll tell you all about it. Tucker Carlson and his wife were looking to get their son a leg up. That's what all the elites do. A little nepotism. Looking to get their son a leg up in his college application to Georgetown University when they turned to a well-connected Washington friend who had an even better connected father. I realize you don't really know Buckley. Buckley Carlson apparently rhymes with Buckley.
Is it a family thing? Like, is it just like this is my son, Rucker.
I realize you don't really know Buckley. Susan Carlson wrote via email in 2014 to Hunter Carlson, a Georgetown graduate and the son of the then vice president. Maybe you could meet or speak to him, and he could send you a very brief resume with his interests and grades attached. You know, never do that. Yeah, if you want me to meet the kid, say something nice about him, okay. But don't send me a resume with grades attached, please.
I'm not going to read through all of that.
Although I have no nepotism to offer. Not to your family, not to my family. I mean, what am I going to get you into? A now defunct mass comm program at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse?
I knew some people.
When I went to school, they actually had a degree program here. Anyways. Here is what the Carlsons were asking of Hunter Biden. Now, Tucker Carlson offered that his son was a good squash player. That again, you know, nothing says, you know, of the common people than my son's a good squash player and an excellent fly fisherman. The pursuits of the common man.
That's the spectrum from one to the other. That's like everything in between is squash and fly fishing.
I have never undertaken either of those activities. How pedestrian I must be. Here's what Tucker offered about the sun. Young chip off the old rhymes with Tucker. He loves Washington for all the right reasons, I think. Does that include the fact it's legalized marijuana there? I'm just asking for a friend. Carlson added, and really wants to go to school there. When Biden agreed to write a letter of recommendation, Susie Carlson added a heap of praise. Tucker and I have the greatest respect and admiration for you. Always, always. At least when you're asking a favor, I suppose. Now, the Carlsons' past entreaties to Biden may come as a surprise to many present-day viewers of the Tucker Carlson Tonight, the highly rated primetime Foxy News show on which the host has repeatedly ridiculed Biden for seeking to profit off his family connections and at times for his history of personal troubles and drug use. You know, like when they were neighbors partying in the back.
That's where he got all his information from.
You wonder who's funding or at least fueling those coke-fueled sex orgies? Well, they're over, by the Biden.
So that's his niece. That's his niece, Huck.
The interactions revealed the extent to which Carlson was willing to turn on a former associate as he thrives in a hyper-partisan media world in which the conservatives have made Biden a prime target for attack during his father's presidency. They also show how Carlson once sought to benefit from the elite political circles in Washington that he now regularly rails against as the ruling class. He's kind of swampy, ain't he?
Yeah. He said he grew up in Aspen.
Here's what Tucker rhymes with Tucker is attributed to having said October of 2021. When your dad is president, you get superpowers. It's kind of a theme. We'll talk more about the superpowers, or at least hero-like. Batman factors in today. Not our Batman, not the good Batman. The Gableman Batman. We'll get to that. Here is what else Tucker said. Rhymes with Tucker. Maybe Hunter Biden will invent a new vaccine next. We will be required to take. Who knows? You never know. The sky's the limit when your dad is in power. Some emails between Tucker Carlson and Biden saved on a device copied from a laptop. The laptop from hell. I mean, that's where they're sourcing these Tucker Hunter missives. Copied from a laptop that Biden purportedly left at a Delaware computer repair store in 2019 have been previously reported. The Washington Post has verified many of those emails through a forensic analysis and corroborated additional messages, including the correspondence with Carlson's wife, with a person familiar with the communications. Tucker Carlson, during a 15-minute phone interview, said that he was once close with Biden, as he has stated on the show. Hunter Biden was my neighbor. Our wives were friends. I knew him well. I talked to him many times about addiction, something I know a lot about. I'm just going to let that hang out there like Tucker did. Tucker knows some about addiction. It's not love he's addicted to, is it? A little bit more. And I've said that I think that Hunter Biden is an addict, and that's why his life is falling apart. I feel bad for him. I've said that many times, and I mean it. But Carlson refused to discuss emails, pointing to past claims by former U.S. intelligence officials that the laptop's emergence in the final weeks of the 2020 presidential had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Now he's worried about Russian disinformation? A little bit more. Carlson was speaking with apparent irony as he frequently mocked those disinformation claims as part of an effort by establishment figures and the tech industry to protect Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. Social media companies that have been widely criticized for spreading disinformation in the 2016 campaign sought in 2020 to block the spread of early news reports about the laptop. I can't confirm these emails. The emails that you're referring to were described by our intel community as Russian disinformation. See the irony there? He's being sarcastic, fancy. A little bit more. So why would I? And I read that in the Washington Post. I would just remind you that there's a war going on, he added, and loose lips sink ships. Kiss my ass, Tucker. That's what I would have put. On his show earlier this month, when Carlson hosted the owner of the computer repair shop where Biden purportedly left his laptop, the host predicted that the Russia hysteria will not age well, adding everyone admitting the laptop was not Russian disinformation. It's real. It was Hunter Biden's. Now, Hunter Biden did decline the post request for interview, and the illumination of the Biden-Carlson relationship is one of the more unexpected chapters in a trove of correspondence included in the copy of the Biden laptop, much of which had been widely cited in documents Biden oversees business dealings during his father's time in office, as well as his personal travails. Now, why don't you think anyone reported the Tucker Carlson ask? To do me a favor, though. Do you think there was a little quid pro quo going on somewhere? I mean, what was Tucker prepared to do in return?
Well, I'm sure that was scrubbed off of the email server.
A little bit more here. I'm reading a little farther down in this piece from the Washington Post. The request for Hunter Biden to help their son get into Georgetown came at a time when the Bidens and the Carlsons were close. Tucker and I would be so grateful if you could write a letter or speak to someone in the Georgetown admissions office about Buckley. Rhymes with Buckley, Susan Carlson wrote. Biden wrote back that he would be honored, and he agreed to prepare a letter to the president of the university. I will do anything you would like me to do. It's nice to have friends like that.
I wonder what he ended up doing.
So let me, a little bit more. Tucker Carlson supplied a summary of his son's attributes, hobbies, and academic record. He added that his son was a compulsive reader, enjoys the outdoors, and spent a month on a sailboat. The next day, Carlson sent a note of gratitude. I can't thank you enough for writing that letter to Georgetown on Bucky's behalf. Bucky, now he's Bucky, rhymes with Bucky. So nice of you. I know it'll help. Hope you're great, and we can all get dinner soon. It is unclear whether Biden ended up writing the letter. I suspect he did.
Wow.
So you screwed the neighbor that helped your son at your request, and now you crap on the guy every day on your show. That doesn't seem very friendly. Come back, Devil's Advocates live in the Shaw. Join us, 844-96-PARTY.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
I just want you to know I hate you.
I'm burying you.
That's disgusting. Put it away, please. We don't do that here.
You're waking the neighbors.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he's there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's called up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world that we're invading Russia with amphibious troops? Come on, Trump. I mean, and I want to hear fine Trumpsters that want to defend that crap. You know, he's a little late for the early bird buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius. Then I got some land I'd like to sell you outside of Fukushima.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Welcome back to the show. My man, Dominic, joining me here in the 4 o'clock hour. He's sticking around for the rest of the day. I got Vance Brian here with me. I got Evan back in the world headquarters, screening your calls lightly. Going to get there in just a moment. I see you, Bill. Be patient. Because we talked about the favor, right? The favor Tucker Carlson asked. But there was also if you got the quid, you got to have the pro quo, right?
Quid pro quo, Mr. Powers.
Squid pro quo. Hunter did need a favor, though, back a little bit later. And and Tucker, rhymes with Tucker, more than willing to jump on the scales on behalf of Hunter Biden, or at least that's what he represented. So let me read a little more from the reporting at the Washington Post. I don't know that we'll get all of this in. And while Hunter Biden was willing to offer a helping hand for his son, young Buckley, Bucky as Tucker Carlson, rhymes with Bucky. Tucker Carlson later jumped in to try and help Hunter Biden. In 2015, for example, Biden sent an urgent message to Carlson. Call me, please. Hunter Biden's name was on a list of those leaked as apparently having accounts with Ashley Madison, a site for those seeking to have extramarital affairs. Pardon me. And he was concerned about a news story that would break out at the account purportedly associated with his name. Hunter Biden said did not have his credit card number or his correct birthday. Because I've got this other account. It's in the name Carlos Danger.
Yeah, they verify those only as far as the money goes.
Carlson responded quickly, saying that he was happy to intervene. Just lost my blank on the editor over here. Lost his crap, according to Carlson. At least that's what he wrote in the email. He claims the London office forced him to do it. He's a pig either way. And I told him so. The whole thing is disgusting and awful, and it breaks my heart that you'll have to go through it. I'm really sorry. Let me know if there's anything Susie and I can do to help. Biden then apologized for reaching out. I'm sorry for even calling you, he wrote in the email. I know I put you in a difficult position. And upon reflection, as your friend, as you are a friend, I should have never done that. He was going through a tough time, Biden added. The email came 3 months after his brother Beau had died. Although he didn't write it, his marriage was collapsing. I've been in Delaware in the last 2 months, sleeping in my nephew's bed, and it's hard to even get up in the morning sometimes, he wrote. Biden said he was particularly shaken that reporters had apparently confronted one of his daughters at their house about the accusation. That kind of sucks. Here's a quote. Regardless, I should have never put you in this position. You have your own family, all of whom I love, and your own business, and defending me is not something a friend should ask a friend to do, Biden said. Tell Susie we love her and miss you both very much. Carlson responded with gusto, attempting to lift up a friend who had been laid low. Are you kidding? My mouth still feels like it's Monday. Are you kidding? I'm glad you called, he wrote in an email. What they did was repulsive and immoral, and I hope I wrecked their day. I certainly tried to. F them. Let me know if there's any way we can help. That does sound like a true friend. In December, when the dailymail.com published an article on Carlson's emails with Biden, Carlson commented on those exchanges, saying that it had been a story from their news outlet about an Ashley Madison leak that he was trying to quash. A Daily Mail reporter showed up at his house when he wasn't home and informed one of his daughters that her dad was cheating on her mom. That's some good journalism. I don't care if Hunter Biden or not. That's awfully said in a statement to the news organization. I knew the Daily Mail's Washington editor at the time, so I called and I told him I thought he was a pig for doing that, and that's still my opinion. So what? Tucker Carlson might have some modicum of human decency.
Or had.
But only if it's for a friend who did him a favor first, though. Carlson show, which has become the highest rated cable news show in the country, he began focusing on Hunter Biden. And a friend who once sought to protect Biden became the television host who sought to skewer him. A review of transcripts from the past 3 years of Carlson's show illustrates how he at times appears torn over talking about his one-time friend. He has disclosed on his show that he knows Biden and has called him a very likable guy. But Carlson has also cited him as an example of how it really works in our ruling class. Well, of course he would know, because he took advantage of that access point to the ruling class when he needed a favor for young Buckley. Rhymes with Buckley.
Oh, the ruling class. That's always a good reference.
A little bit more from Tucker, rhymes with Tucker. It's brought attention to the lucrative jobs that Hunter Biden was able to get because he has an important father. You didn't mind accessing that very same point of leverage. In America today, there's nothing illegal about playing de facto bribes or handing fake jobs to unqualified family members of powerful people, he said on his January 13, 2020 show. And since it is perfectly legal, naturally, Hunter Biden isn't the only one shamelessly cashing in on his family name. Hardly. Yeah, because we got to add, at minimum, young Buckley Carlson to the list. There's more coverage here. I think that's the gist of it. You get the point. One's friends, though. One's friends. Call a brother, ask him out. Help me out, man.
Yeah, but if he feels like he's been wronged by Hunter Biden or the country has been wronged by, it could be such a deep wound.
How was Tucker wronged by Hunter Biden?
I have no idea. I'm just telling you, maybe he feels that way.
He didn't make the implication. He didn't even say, well, until he made a pass at my wife, we were close. He didn't make any of those sort of disclaimers. Anyways, I've had to make a few disclaimers. It's not usually making a pass at a dude's wife, but I've crossed a few lines. I'm just saying.
These things happen, but again, you have to actually care about him enough to go and say, I'm going to not do that anymore. And then Tucker just says, ratings are important.
Well, my good friend Dominic, who I've crossed a few lines with, joins me in the 4:00 hour. Fancy Brian here. Your phone calls could be next. Join us, 844-967-2789, Thursday in the Shaw.
Beautiful places are always in danger of being overrun by the worst people. Ask anyone who grew up in Aspen.
Yes, Squid Pro Row.
From Baraboo to Horicon, WTTN 1580 AM is news talk radio built for the 99%. Rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio. Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished lower. The Dow down 236 points. North Korea has reported hundreds of thousands more coronavirus cases.
The latest report came only a week after the country acknowledged the outbreak and scrambled to slow infections in its unvaccinated population. As the country lacks the infrastructure and resources to contain the virus, it is possible that cases are being underreported so as to soften the political impact on authoritarian leader Kim Jong-un. North Korea's antivirus headquarters have put the death toll at just over 60, which experts have said is abnormally small compared to the suspected number of coronavirus infections. I'm Karen Chamas.
The lockdown Chinese city of Shanghai will reopen 4 of its 20 subway lines Sunday as it slowly eases pandemic restrictions that have kept most residents in their housing complexes for more than 6 weeks. The outbreak in Shanghai has taken 580 lives, according to official statistics. I'm Ed Don.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. A proposal from County Executive Joe Parisi to send all Dane County employees a $1,000 stimulus to assist in offsetting the impacts of inflation is not likely to pass at tonight's Dane County Board meeting because it does not have the support from the new board chair or the board's Personnel and Finance Committee. New chair Patrick Miles indicates the funds will be saved to address future needs the county may face with rising cases. Wisconsin court records show a UW Health anesthesiologist who sued her former department head and the UW Board of Regents has received a $180,000 settlement in the lawsuit she filed alleging unequal pay, unequal opportunity, and a hostile work environment for female doctors. The Milwaukee Brewers won their 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves yesterday with a walk-off 2-run home run by Keston Hiura in the 11th inning, winning the game 7-6 and the series 2-1. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
On a long, lonesome highway, east of Omaha.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. Dom joining me soon. You can join me right now. Bill, where'd you go, man? You were first at 844-967-2789. Well, Bill, if you're not waiting there in the queue, then I'm moving on without you, sir. Found this at the Los Angeles Times. Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, he's done a few business deals in his day, and apparently he's got this new blank check company. They want to use this investment vehicle, but they've got to make a few disclosures. So anyways, his new partners have compilated a disclosure of everything you should know about Donald Trump as a business partner. As the Los Angeles Times calls it, a lengthy list of Trump's disastrous business deals compiled by his newest business partners.
People are very, very impressed with what I've done to business people.
Well, let me read just a little bit from this. Donald Trump's business history has been so filled with disastrous ventures that it's been hard to keep track of them all. No longer Digital World Acquisition Corp., which is a special purchase acquisition company. They call it a SPAC. Taking Trump's Truth social media platform public has conveniently listed them, the Trump failures, in a document it is required to file publicly before selling stock. DWAC is aiming to raise just under a cool $1 billion. That's a lot of jing. Some followers of Trump world may find the S4 registration statement filed Monday in anticipation of the Trump SPAC merger hilarious reading. It's certainly thorough, though there's always been a chance that a business failure here or there escaped its drafters' notice. The litany appears in a section, the S4 headed risk factors, specifically risk related to our chairman, President Donald J. Trump. You know, I know you guys probably have written a list about me, like all of Crudy's arbitrary irregularities, but I hope my legal resume is not as long as this man's.
Yeah, he's just not good at any of it.
Because the success of the merged company depends in part on the reputation and popularity of its chairman, President Donald J. Trump. His background is obviously pertinent. The document also lists other more typical risks, including regulatory and competitive issues, and fires, floods, earthquakes, power losses, telecommunications failures, break-ins, and similar events. But never mind them now. Let's delve instead into the Trump-related risks. A number of companies that were associated with President Trump have filed for bankruptcy, the document states. There can be no assurances that the TMTG, that is the Trump Media and Technology Group, will not also become bankrupt. I'd say there's a pretty good chance of it.
I never went bankrupt, by the way, as you know, everybody knows.
Let's start with Trump's casinos in Atlantic City. This is according to his partner's S4 filings. The Trump Taj Mahal, which was built and owned by President Trump, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1991. The Trump Plaza, the Trump Castle, and the Plaza Hotel, all owned by President Trump at the time, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1992. THCR, which was founded by President Trump in 1995, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2004. Trump Entertainment Resorts Incorporated, the new name given to Trump hotels and casino resorts after its 2004 bankruptcy, declared bankruptcy in 2009. And then there's the list of companies that have had licensed agreements with President Trump that have failed. Here's more. It's nearly a comprehensive list.
I will call them from now on losers.
Trump Shuttle Incorporated, launched by Trump in 1989, defaulted on its loans in 90 and ceased to exist by 1992. Trump University, founded by President Trump in 2005, ceased operations in 11 amid lawsuits and investigations regarding the company's business practices. Trump Vodka, a brand of vodka that might kill you, produced by Drinks Americas under license from the Trump Organization, was introduced in 2005 and discontinued in 2011. Also, there was Trump Mortgage LLC, a financial services company founded by President Trump in 2006. Well, that one ceased operations in 2007. There was GoTrump.com, a travel site founded by Trump in 2006, which ceased operations in 2007. Trump Steaks, a brand of steak and other meats founded by Trump in 2007, discontinued sales 2 months after its launch. And the S4 also observes that Trump is involved in numerous lawsuits and other matters that could damage his reputation. Oh, do go on. Cause him to be distracted from his business or force him to resign from TMTG's board of directors. Among them, the document specifies that a congressional committee is investigating the president's role, if any, in the violence of the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. 2 groups of U.S. Capitol police officers in 2 separate lawsuits have sued President Trump for allegedly inciting riots on that date. You know, these are his friends saying this about the man. Further, S4 mentions other ongoing litigation involving President Trump related to the 2020 election, including a lawsuit filed by the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, a criminal investigation launched by the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney's Office into President Trump's alleged interference in the presidential election. Again, this is a Trump company corporate disclosure about the chairman of the board who's under investigation in several jurisdictions. Also, they write, the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Reform is investigating Trump's alleged destruction and removal of classified documents and White House records, as well as potential inaccurate financial statements filed by the Trump Organization in relationship to Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. And separate investigations have been launched by the New York County Manhattan District Attorney, the New York Attorney General, and the Westchester County District Attorney to determine if the Trump Organization made false valuations of property to avoid tax liability and other financial benefits. Man, that's a mouthful.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I mean, there's more and more and more and more. Also, the Trump Organization recently paid $750,000 to settle a lawsuit filed by the District of Columbia, accusing the organization of misusing nonprofit funds from the 58th Presidential Inaugural Committee. On top of that, President Trump is the defendant in a defamation lawsuit filed against him by E. Jean Carroll, who claims that Trump defamed her when he denied her allegations of sexual assault against him. I mean, if being the chairman of the board required this sort of personal disclosure, all sort of quantified in a long-ass list, I don't know if I'd want that job. In the past, President Trump has been involved in multiple lawsuits and settlements, the subject of numerous accusations that did not result in legal action related to sexual conduct and alleged misconduct. And for investors, here it comes, Fancy Brian. For investors, the scariest line in the entire document may be this: the foregoing does not purport to be an exhaustive list. I mean, they could have missed a lot of stuff. You know, the LA Times, they quantified 1,300 cases. Actually, let me amend that statement. President Trump and his businesses have been involved in 3,500 legal cases in U.S. federal and state courts. 1,300 cases where the record establishes the outcome. Trump has settled 175 times, lost 38 times, won 450 times, and had another 137 cases end with some other outcome. In 500 cases, judges dismissed plaintiffs' claims against Trump. And if you're inclined to invest with Donald Trump, don't say you haven't been warned. No, it's a pretty comprehensive disclosure. 844-967-2789. I just thought you, our fair audience, might find it humorous like I did. Bill from Oconomowoc. How you doing, Bill?
Just great. I'd like
Hey,
to get
Bill.
back to Mother Tucker. Mother Tucker. You know, I never knew, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I never knew when I was young, enjoying a Swanson TV dinner with my grandmother, that the spawn of Swanson would be Tucker.
I mean,
because I believe that Swanson money that makes him allow him to play squash and sail his yacht and you know, wear bow ties and do all that. But here's the thing that Mother Tucker really stands for, and they can't deny it because they've got it on tape. He's still supporting Putin against Ukraine. And that says it all. And he can't deny it because it's on tape. He said it. He doesn't see any point in investing in Ukraine. He says, look, Russia has the oil. What do we need Ukraine for? Geez, what leadership, you know? And then following up with our buddy Trump, you know, going into the presidency, Fox never covered the 11 bankruptcies and 26 sexual assaults, but, you know, that's his resume. I guess all presidents have that, right? Thanks for letting me vent my spleen. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're quite welcome. I appreciate you not quite dropping your spleen entirely. You know, rhymes with Mother Tucker. Careful, Bill, careful.
Or Buckley, or
rhymes with Buckley.
Or Huck Finn, or
Bucky.
Chuckster. Is there a Chuck?
Well, there's Chuck Todd, and there's Chuck U. Schumer, as Rush Limbaugh used to call him. Anyways, you know what's interesting? We talked about what's his face, Tucker. Brought him up a couple times. Well, Tucker has kind of become famous, and obviously he gets good ratings. And you know, if he needs a favor, he calls guys like Hunter Biden. But he also espouses this great replacement theory, the great white replacement theory, quite a bit. And it's interesting. I was listening to right-wing talk radio this morning, and They were defending this great white replacement theory because they were pointing out that Democrats acknowledged that racial demographics were changing in our nation. Well, and if the Democrats acknowledge that there are more minority people, hell, Joe Biden acknowledged the day that America became a majority minority nation. But I'm listening to righty whitey talker Dan O'Donnell basically saying that's just the same. It's just the same. If the Democrats acknowledge that America is changing, to say Tucker Carlson is just the same when he says the Democrats open the spigot to illegal immigration. And hell, you know, with the mail-in voting, you don't know who's voting. And if you do it subtly enough, you could be, let's say, a U.S. senator from the great state of Wisconsin, and you could hope that you're not labeled a, great replacement theorist. But U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, according to the Anti-Defamation League, well, he just might be great replacement theory adjacent. There's some new reporting out today, and they use his own words against him. And Ron hates when you do that, when you hold him accountable for what he said. But, we're going to bring it back. We're going to tell you what Ron Johnson reportedly said. And I read the quote, and I'm thinking, this is exactly what Tucker says. This is the great white hope replacement theory. So anyways, I'll bring it back. This will be where we come back, and you could be a part of this show as well. Hanging out in the Shaw with my big guy, Fancy Brian, my little buddy Dominic, joining me in studio here in just a little bit. But you could be next. Join me, 844-967-2789. Ron Johnson spreading the great replacement theory ? He says no. The Anti-Defamation League says maybe. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates.
He's a highly sophisticated business person that you all know.
Hi, it's Rudy Giuliani, and I'm on Cameo.
People are very, very impressed with what I've done to business people.
Oh my God, we're burning alive!
Will there be a lawsuit? Yeah, probably.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Mom, I need to be wiped. Coming.
Including checking nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, I'm Haley Kiyoko, and I know what it's like to struggle with mental health issues. If you have a friend that's going through a tough time, now is the perfect moment to reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
The Devil's Advocates.
Aaron Mostovsky, who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, was dressed as Captain Caveman. QAnon shaman meets Law and Order.
Right. I mean, he pulled it off a whole lot better than Aaron Mostovsky.
Well, let me read a quote from the judge in this case. I hope you'll leave some of this fantasy world behind. Mostovsky was sentenced to 8 months in prison.
Looking at the guy, he might be one who loses his mattress on the first day. Breaking news.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Monaco Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MonacoBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
What is dedication?
I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Some would say it's Friday Eve. Broadcasting live from the Waukesha, Wisconsin. Got Fancy Brian here. Dom joins real soon. You could be a part right now, though. Fancy Evan. Calling you Fancy Evan now. Evan back in the world headquarters, slightly screening the calls at 844-967-2789. A troubling headline about the senior senator of the great state of Wisconsin. Is he spreading the Tucker Carlson rhymes with Tucker backed great replacement theory? He says, absolutely not. The Anti-Defamation League, well, they call it subtle. According to Bill Glauber at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I don't think he's so subtle, but you be the judge. Republican Senator Ron Johnson is pushing back against criticism that says he's promoting the great replacement theory, a conspiracy that white Americans are being systematically replaced by immigrants and minorities. But the Anti-Defamation League, which examined Johnson's comments at the request of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, said the Wisconsin senator was promulgating a subtle version of the more overtly racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric circulated by white supremacists. The idea was expressed in a manifesto by the subject in a racially motivated shooting rampage in Buffalo that left 10 dead. And national news organizations like The Times have written that the theory has migrated from far-right fringes of American discourse towards the center of Republican politics. And it's roundup, The Times focused on the comments Johnson made during an interview last year, in which he said Johnson's quote here, I quote him directly, "The administration wants complete open borders. And you have to ask yourself, why? Is it really they want to remake the demographics of America to ensure that they stay in power forever? Question mark. No, who else uses those sort of strange questions? Guy that rhymes with Tucker, I think. This week, Johnson rejected the accusation that he was engaging in the theory. Well, what do you think he's going to say? I'm a racist. You caught me. Johnson tweeted, I've spoken extensively on the inhumanity of the Biden administration's open borders policies. Well, then don't mischaracterize them, Ron, but I read on. Pushing the lie that criticizing this administration's policies in any way supports replacement theory is another example of the corporate media working overtime to cover up the Biden administration's failures. At least you always had an honest assessment, right, Ron? Now, the Anti-Defamation League, an anti-hate group, examined several of Johnson's remarks and said the senator touches on the replacement theory when he talks about changing the country's electorate. The ADL, here's their quote in the statement. White supremacists promote a very racist and anti-Semitic version of the theory. Right-wing politicians and pundits use a more subtle form of the great replacement theory. Senator Ron Johnson, while more subtle than others promoting the GRT, touches on the theory in recent statements. So, okay, I told you be the judge. Here's a interview that Rojo did on Tuesday with WSAU Radio. Johnson called the Buffalo shooting a horrendous tragedy, and all of our hearts go out to all the victims and their surviving loved ones. Johnson charged President Joe Biden was politicizing the Buffalo tragedy, telling WSAU, it is, as the Wall Street Journal described, what he's doing is despicable. What Democrats are doing, trying to blame conservatives for deranged actions of a deranged individual.
Waukesha parade.
Yeah.
Days later. Anyway.
During his remarks in Buffalo, Biden condemned the gunman's hateful, perverse ideology rooted in fear and racism and called out those who have pushed the great replacement theory. Biden said that through the media and politics, the internet has radicalized angry, lost, and isolated individuals in believing the theory. Johnson's spokeswoman, Alexa Henning, said in a statement, this blatantly political attempt by the media and the Democrats to blame Republicans for a deranged killer in Buffalo is despicable. Johnson has never spoken about this racist theory, not this one, and any attempt to characterize his criticism of Biden's inhumane open borders policy or is pointing out Democrats' own words supporting open borders for electoral gains is disgusting and an outright lie. This is yet another diversionary tactic by the corporate media working overtime to cover up the disasters of the Biden administration.
So what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Now, Johnson has said or implied the administration is trying to change the makeup of the electorate several times in recent months. In a May 2nd interview with the Ross Kaminsky show on KOA Radio in Denver, Johnson discussed the border issue and made the case for legal immigration system. But when asked to explain the Biden administration policy on the border, here's what Rojo said. The only thing I can think of, the only thing that makes sense is they want to let a lot of people in. They want to let them in. They want to get credit as Democrats for letting a bunch of people into the country illegally and then set up a system of voting that's all mail-in balloting where you can send out ballots. You have no control over who's voting, whether they're citizens or non-citizen, whether they're eligible or not.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, no, you almost made me say, no, you know what, Sherlock. And they can basically remake the electorate. They can establish themselves in permanent power as a one-party state. So they complete their fundamental transformation. In other words, their fundamental destruction of this country. I don't know why they want to do that, but that's as best I can understand is what they want to do. Well, what you have described is not subtle. It's exactly the great replacement theory. You say that effectively Democrats want to open the borders, let people in for electoral gain. They're diluting the white vote. That's exactly what rhymes with Tucker says on his show.
Yeah, but Critty, you don't understand. He believes all the points of it. He just doesn't call it a great replacement theory. That's the difference.
Now, if you walked up to Ron Johnson, you said, Ron, what's your policy on black people? Well, I'm part of the Joseph Project. And he has pointed towards, his one black friend in Milwaukee many times. If you've seen the new political ads, or at least the earlier Johnson political ads, he certainly pointed towards his participation in his founding of that organization and said, see, how could I be a racist if I help a couple of black people in Milwaukee? But then you look at his words and sometimes his actions, and you say, well, Ron, I'm judging you by this stuff. Can you do good by some and still be a racist? Is it a binary choice? I don't think it is. So anyways, you make the call, but I don't think that's so subtle. I think Ron Johnson is espousing the great replacement theory. And I think he's done it before. And I think we're going to have to go back to the Devil's Advocates archives and see exactly what Ron told us in the past. Stick around. Dom joins me the happy hour and then the happier happy hour. And then it's Friday.
The mood of the crowd was positive and festive.
You are either lying or you're stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
I don't know, but I'm suspicious.
When we built the Devil Radio World Headquarters in Madison, it was filthy with construction dust, a real mess. I called Magnific Cleaning Services and they made it shine. A few days later, we moved in and created a whole new mess. Magnific Cleaning Services made it shine again. Now Magnific Cleaning Services is the only cleaners I trust with the keys to my company. They clean Devil Radio affordably and with great attention to detail. Find them online at magnificservice.com for a free estimate and tell them Devil Radio sent you.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio, bringing you a lineup of live talk radio every single weekday. Tune in for Dueling Tangents with Luke and Brian every afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. for Wisconsin news and a tangent or two. The Devil's Advocates radio show is live every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Still, the greatest radio show ever. Always streaming at devilradio927.com. You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Lawmakers in Oklahoma have approved a bill that bans abortions with few exceptions. Providers say they would stop performing abortions as soon as the governor signs the bill. It would prohibit all abortions except to save the life of a pregnant woman or if the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest that has been reported to law enforcement. Peyton Gendron, the white man accused of killing 10 black people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, appeared in court, standing silently during a brief proceeding. As he was let out, someone yelled, "Peyton, you're a coward," from the courtroom gallery. He's being held in jail without bail. Byron Brown is the mayor of Buffalo.
The evidence collection phase of this portion of the investigation inside the Top supermarket has been concluded.
The president of Tops Market, John Persons, has pledged to open the store as soon as possible, but said he could not give a timeline. Stocks ended another volatile day lower today on Wall Street, bringing the market closer to its first bear market since the beginning of the pandemic. Stocks finished lower across the board. The Dow down 236 points. The Senate voted to approve another $40 billion in aid for Ukraine. 11 Republicans voted no. This is Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
The most expensive and painful thing America could possibly do in the long run would be to stop investing in sovereignty, stability, and deterrence before it's too late.
President Biden met at the White House with leaders from Sweden and Finland who want to join NATO.
They have the full, total, complete backing of the United States of America.
Vote counting in Pennsylvania's Republican primary for the Senate has dragged on to a third day as Dr. Mehmet Oz and former hedge fund CEO David McCormick remain essentially tied with tens of thousands of ballots left to tally in Pennsylvania. This is AP News.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. That's pretty cool.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
The greatest radio show ever could be your greatest advertising investment ever. Partner with the Devil's Advocates and activate our loyal, educated, and engaged audience today. In-show interviews and sponsored special events considered across Wisconsin. Affordable digital and terrestrial ads available in Chicago and Minneapolis and directly on the Devil Radio app. Make a deal with the Devils and get the Devil's Advocates bump to your bottom line. Call or text 844-967-2789 today. Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dane County. 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94. 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
Taking on Ready Whitey Talk Radio on both sides of the dial from Cross Plains to Cottage Grove. Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to a new Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction report, students with disabilities were involved in a greater percentage of incidents that ended in restraint or seclusion compared to the previous year. This is the second report of its kind since a 2019 law was passed to track such incidents. Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction Jill Underly stated the report highlights the continued need for state investment in schools so teachers are not required to use last resort means of restraint or seclusion on students. Congressman Mark Pocan, along with members of the U.S. Senate, introduced a piece of legislation that would halt the growing concentration among food and agriculture businesses by placing an indefinite moratorium on mergers and acquisitions. Generally cloudy skies expected throughout the day with winds from 10 to 20 miles an hour and a high of 82 degrees. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this evening with some having the potential to be severe. 80% chance for rain with an overnight low of 65 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. I guess it is Thursday, which makes it Friday Eve. Dominic here for the happy hour, and the happier happy hour. How you doing, little buddy?
I'm fantastic, Rudy. Good to be with you here in the Waukesha, Wisconsin, in the studios. Fancy Brian Evan back in Madison. Of course, our fair audience, thank you for tuning in, man. It is a joyous, happy, exciting, very busy news day.
It's not quite Merrick Garland Day.
No, not
we're
yet.
getting closer.
Oh, I can feel it, man. I can feel it.
There are some allegations, new news, Dom, regarding Republican congressional members perhaps being the tour guides for some insurrectionists.
No.
Now, we'd heard rumor about this for months. So what is the new news that has you so captivated?
This is breaking. Found this one at CNN.com. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has formally requested information from Rep. Barry Loudermilk. And who the hell is Barry Loudermilk, Crudy? Well, he's a Republican from Georgia.
Oh, that's a shocker. Like, I wouldn't have figured out he was a Republican otherwise.
About a U.S. Capitol tour he gave to visitors the day before rioters stormed the building. In a letter to Loudermilk, the committee said they were
constituent services.
Yeah. They're looking for more information about the purpose of the tour and its participants. A quote: based on our review of evidence in the select committee's possession, we believe you have information regarding a tour you led through parts of the Capitol complex on January 5th, 2021. Chairman Benny Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, and Vice Chairwoman Liz Cheney from Wyoming wrote in the letter. It goes on. The foregoing information raises questions to which the select committee must seek answers. Public reporting and witness accounts indicate some individuals and groups engaged in efforts to gather information about the layout of the U.S. Capitol, as well as the House and Senate office buildings in advance of January 6, 2021. You know, kind of like a reconnaissance mission. Recruiting, recon, baby. CNN reports specifically the letter notes that the committee's review of evidence, quote, directly contradicts, unquote, previous claims by Republicans that security footage from the days before January 6th shows there were no tours, no large groups, and no one with MAGA hats on. A spokesperson for Loudermilk has not immediately returned a request for comment from CNN. The letter comes more than a year after some House Democrats, Crudy. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, as your news is breaking, there's breaking news.
Breaking
to contradict the denials on reconnaissance tours. Pardon me, easy for me to say. January 6th committee says it has evidence that directly contradicts the GOP denials of the reconnaissance tours. So you go, then I'll go.
All right. They go on to say, and this to your point earlier, Kurt, about the rumors that we heard. Rep. Mickey Sherrill, a Democrat from Sherrill from New Jersey, accused Republicans in the days after the insurrection of providing tours to people who then used the information they learned from their visit about the complex layout to aid their attempts to interrupt the certification of the 2020 presidential election results. She didn't name any Republicans. She has held a virtual town hall on January 12th. Remember, the Capitol was closed for COVID, right? I mean, it's not like, and this, we'll get into it just a little bit more here. Back then, she during her town hall said that members of Congress who had groups coming through the Capitol that I saw on January 5th for reconnaissance for the next day. The Congresswoman never provided specific details or named which member gave them tours, even after widespread criticism from Republicans demanding she provide evidence to back up her claim. And here's what Loudermilk wrote after he filed an ethics complaint against Sherrill for spilling the beans that they were doing recon missions the day before. He literally filed an ethics complaint. Part of that, I have the whole thing, but CNN
snitches get switches.
A member of Congress accusing another member of committing a crime without evidence is morally reprehensible and a stain on this institution. What about all the pedophile comments? Anyway, no Republican member of Congress led any kind of reconnaissance tours through the Capitol, proven by security footage captured by the U.S. Capitol Police. My Republican colleagues and I will not sit by while Democrats accuse their colleagues of treason for political gain. Well, at least he recognizes that if this were to be true, it's probably treason. I think his own words might come back to bite him. This type of conduct must not be tolerated, he urging the House Ethics Committee to take a quick and decisive action, yada, yada, yada. But again, as reported, J6 has specific evidence refuting. It directly contradicts. Kurt, do you have any more on that?
The foregoing information raises questions to which the Select Committee must seek answers. Public reporting and witness accounts indicate some individuals and groups engaged in efforts to gather information about the layout of the U.S. Capitol. This is from the statement of Benny Thompson, signed off on by the committee, also including Liz Cheney, again from the statement, as well as House and Senate office buildings in advance of the January 6, 2021. In response to those allegations, Republicans on the committee on the House administration, of which you are a member, claim to have reviewed security footage from the days preceding January 6 and determined that there was no tours, no large groups, no one with MAGA hats on. However, the Select Committee's review of evidence directly contradicts that denial. So his committee, the one he serves on, said nothing to see here. Isn't that convenient?
Isn't it, though?
But the J6 committee actually went and reviewed the evidence.
Well, they have evidence. And that's the question, of course. Now we can kind of speculate a little bit here. Number one, all right, that place is buttoned down. We have seen a lot of footage from the actual riot itself, right? I mean, and
oh yes,
we have, and there's much more to be seen. Presumably, those cameras were not just installed, the morning of January 6th, right?
You think they were there the day before?
I'm thinking there were. So either they never looked at them and lied about it, entirely possible, or they found it, deleted it, maybe, but probably unlikely. The other
could they have done a Bill Barr and just completely misstrewed?
Yes, absolutely.
The evidence,
and depending on how you read into the statement, this wasn't a reconnaissance tour, quote unquote. Yeah, it was a regular tour. So see, I didn't lie. It wasn't a recon tour. So you know how it is. It depends on what you mean by the word "is," and that's how these guys play. So maybe he's trying to somehow, some way, give himself a way out. But the other
plausible
side,
deniability.
If it's not actual video from the Capitol Police, from the facilities, probably it's from some of the people who were on the tour, their selfies
doing the recon.
Yeah. I mean, they took, if they were there are groups there. Hell, we're in the Capitol. I mean, how many of the people getting busted right now are being charged because of their own video? There's a lot of video out there from the insurrectionists themselves and the day before and all that. So the J6 committee probably has, coming out and say that they have very specific proof. I don't believe that this is a bluff. So where that video came from, what constitutes that proof, we'll wait and see. But I don't think they release something like this if they don't have the dude dead to rights.
Across 8 hearings, key witnesses interviewed by the Congressional Probe, that's the J6 committee, will testify publicly for the first time on the alleged plot that led to the January 6th insurrection, as well as the events of the day itself. We'll tell the whole story about what happened, Thompson told reporters. We will use a combination of witnesses, exhibits, things that we have through the tens of thousands of exhibits, as well as hundreds of witnesses we've deposed, or just talked to in general. The hearings are expected to make for blockbuster television and radio, potentially on par with the Watergate hearings or the Donald Trump's 2 impeachments, as America relives minute by minute the day the mob of the defeated president's supporters stormed Congress to prevent the peaceful transfer of power in the 2020 election to winner Joe Biden. And the bench of 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans, that's a pretty good batting order, Dom. A couple of southpaws in there. Will explore allegations that Trump inspired the violence through months of false claims about election fraud as part of an illegal plot to stay in power. And Trump and his inner circle deny all accusations of wrongdoing, characterizing their election disinformation and led machinations to overturn the results of a good faith attempt to clear up widespread corruption. Good faith attempt, Tom. One last paragraph. Trump's ultra-loyal Republican base argues that the investigation is a witch hunt to distract from the rampant inflation and burgeoning immigration crisis ahead of the elections in November. This is all just a ruse, Tom, a distraction. Don't look at the videotape, please. Nothing to see there. No large groups, no reconnaissance tours. I looked myself and I didn't see me.
Well, and you get, again, the specific words. No Republican, I'll pull it up here because I don't want to quote out of turn from Loudermilk. This is actually on his webpage. No Republican member of Congress led any kind of reconnaissance, in quotes, tours through the Capitol, proven by security footage captured by the U.S. Capitol Police. Well, maybe they didn't lead it. Maybe they were just there. And maybe it wasn't a reconnaissance. Maybe it was something else. But they're going to try to.
You think he split the infinitive?
I think, maybe they looked at one video and didn't find it. But I think it's whatever it is. It's all BS. Let's just be honest about it. The J6, a bipartisan committee, is coming out and nailing him to the wall. It directly contradicts the crap you just said before, which means we have proof that you're a lying SOB. That's exactly what that means. And it's a letter. It's a nice, simple request. But as they line up these ducks, Republicans have an opportunity to do the right thing.
Pshaw, they never do the right thing.
Will Bill Barr do the right thing?
Oh, that's an interesting question. He's in negotiations right now to testify before the January 6th committee. A transcribed deposition.
Yes.
Is that the same as being under oath?
I don't know. I think.
You think they'll get any straight answers out of Bill Barr?
Yes.
I don't.
I do.
Come on.
Yeah.
Out of Bill Barr.
There's a reason he left when he left, man. He saw the writing on the wall. He's got to spill the beans. What's his downside?
Only out of self-preservation.
Well, okay. Whatever it takes.
Come back with us. We'll help you persevere. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. The happy hour is right now.
The mood of the crowd was positive and festive.
Lordy, I hope there are tapes.
Is this a dating video?
I had to beat off all this stuff.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
President
Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
My senator and yours, Ron Johnson. See a big story about him at the Hill this week in Hill.com. Wisconsin Democrats and Republicans both want Ron to run, but for different reasons. I think some Democrats think, oh, he's just so crazy. Of course we'll beat him, which is what they said about Trump too. Miss that guy? Not much. Not much. He used to come around.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just
Only you can prevent wildfires.
like if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This is Chris Voss from the Record Company. You're listening to Devil Radio. This song's called How High. We are the Record Company. We play rock and roll.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. How high? Very high. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789.
I guess technically here in the upper Midwest, the Central Time Zone, we're welcoming you back from the 420 break. Bill Barr, I hate that guy.
Me too.
The former attorney general under Donald Trump. And there is some new news. The headline, Dom, and I'm just going to take the headline. I'll let you tell the story. Bill Barr discussions to cooperate with the January 6th committee. I'm not exactly expecting full, open, and transparent cooperation. There's going to be a lot of CYA.
Sure. And if that CYA is if it happens to occur while he, throws Trump under the bus, okay, I'm fine with that. Axios, Jonathan Swan reporting, as Crudy mentioned, discussions with the J6 to appear for a formal transcribed interview. According to two sources with direct knowledge, Barr is likely to cooperate with the committee, according to a source with familiar with his thinking. Tim Mulvey, a spokesman for the J6 committee, declined to comment. No firm decision has been made by the committee on whether to invite Barr to appear in public hearings that begin in June.
No.
Axios previously reported that Trump berated Barr repeatedly to get the Justice Department to declare the 2020 election stolen. Barr refused, and they go.
You know what he would be like? He'd be like Pantangeli in the Godfather 2 movie, right? The guy that's supposed to turn on the Corleone family, and then he gets there, and it's time to give the public testimony, and they bring his brother in from Sicily.
It was the government guys asked me when I said, yeah, Michael Corleone, yeah. No.
Don't worry about anything, Frankie Five Fingers.
Yeah, Frankie Five Fingers.
So you see my point.
With public testimony, perhaps
Bill Barr up to basically go and totally bring it down.
Really, you don't think Bill Barr has the ego to want to be the hero in something like this?
Ego?
Yeah.
No, I think he's a contemptuous bastard. I think he's just as fascistic as his former boss. How do I know that?
Sure, that doesn't
he
mean...
gave complete and utter cover on the Mueller report.
That is absolutely
true.
He
knew that the only reason the guy was the president is because either he was coordinating with Russia, which I get, it wasn't proven. But of course, he couldn't prove it. It wasn't proven by the Mueller special counsel because the former president was obstructing on every level. And Bill Barr, who was the attorney general, not personal counsel, he's not Rudy. He's not somebody that Trump hired, but he certainly acted like Trump's personal attorney. So,
he protected the office of the presidency.
He was in it for the ideology of the uniform executive, the more power you could bestow in that executive, because he knew, Bill Barr knows, Republicans aren't afraid to exercise to flex their power when they have it.
Well, what's the point of power if you don't use it? But and those are all accurate statements.
There's nothing in his history
his history is a narcissistic SOB, just like Trump. That's exactly how it is. And what I would bet money that he would absolutely throw Trump under the bus.
I would take that,
protect himself and write another book if he thought he'd get some money out of it and some notoriety out of it. Absolutely, he would do that. Without question, just based on what you explained of his own background and what we see publicly and how he defended Trump in the first place.
I think he would give very, sort of half answers. I don't think you're going to get any clear testimony, not trying to bring down the former boss, because there's too much political downside. For him to throw Donald Trump under the bus in a public hearing, in a public setting, never going to happen. This guy likes it too good at the country club. And the only way he stays as sort of an important former Trumpster is if he doesn't tarnish the reputation of his former boss.
Come on, man. If it becomes so very glaringly obvious from the war room and the White House
More glaringly obvious,
as it becomes known. I mean, he could step up and be the hero of the people, man. You don't think that that's attractive for a guy like Bill Barr to finally follow through on what he should have done the whole time?
He's going to come off as a heroic figure in history.
It's absolutely possible that he
could.
Why would he even offer to sit down in the first place? Or go into
perhaps he felt compelled to do so because the next step would be subpoenas.
So,
well, then you can compel his testimony. Right now, you're a cooperative witness. You can just go on and say, under advice counsel, I executive privilege, whatever stupid asinine stall tactic or not answering the question tactic as is necessary. But I don't believe in my heart of hearts, and I'll put money where your money is
to
take on that bet, because I don't think Bill Barr, not in a public setting, not where it could be used in a public way against the former chief. No, because he fears Trump. And he fears the repercussions. He fears the loss of status by the diminishment of Trump.
That will wane with the convictions and as the stories come out and it becomes known.
Yeah,
Trump
but
will
the
be
winners get to write the history.
Well, he knows that. And if he gets to write the history, he gets to write his own conclusion to the crap show that he was a part of and participated in, to maybe, come on, man. You look at guys like James Santel, who, worked for the man, right? He was held in some regard before working for Trump. You don't think he wants to get his reputation back to a degree and maybe a few bucks?
Doesn't give a damn about his bad reputation.
But he's scared of Donald Trump, and they got no shouting match, and he quit because he's scared. He didn't do what Trump wanted him to do. That's why he left.
Here's the quote, allegedly, from Bill Barr. I'm a pretty informed legal observer, and I can't effing figure out what the theory is here. It's just scattershot. It's all over the hill and gone. Well, that's what he said about the whole coup plot, right?
Yes.
Well, he's not going to come out and say those sort of things publicly.
If
he give me 3-2,
I'll give you straight out, man.
Come back. I don't know if I like a fair fight. More devil's advocates. It's never a fair fight when you take us on. Bring it. 844-967-2789. Your calls could be next.
But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
Well, history is written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history. A bit snitty.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
2/3 of U.S. senators are millionaires, including Ron Johnson, who married into a billionaire family. I'm Tom Nelson, not a millionaire, just the son of a Lutheran pastor who approves this message. I need your help to get to the Senate to make sure people like Johnson finally pay their fair share. Go to nelson4wi.com, that's F-O-R, if you can give a few bucks so we can make sure everyone has a voice. Pay for right, Nelson for Wisconsin.
What the heck are you doing?
I'm making a patio.
When I told you it was patio season, I didn't mean we had to make one of our own.
But I got all this grout all over me now.
Yeah, but I meant we need to go see Hawk at the all-new Jade Monkey on Cottage Grove Road. They've got an awesome patio, and it's the perfect place to stop for a cocktail after the show.
Jade Monkey has a patio? Why don't we go there?
Exactly. Now put down those power tools and let's go grab a drink.
It's all right. I was done anyway.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck. The abortion efforts. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Oklahoma's 2 remaining abortion providers say they'll close once the governor signs a bill passed by the legislature that would prohibit all abortions except to save the life of a pregnant woman or if the pregnancy is a result of rape or incest that's been reported to law enforcement. It's the third of a series of anti-abortion measures. Another bars abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. A third would make it a felony in the state to perform an abortion punishable by up to 10 years in prison. The head of the World Food Program, David Beasley, says Russia's war on Ukraine could lead to mass hunger and starvation.
Failure to open those ports in Odessa region will be a declaration of war on global food security, and it will result in famine and destabilization and mass migration around the world.
Beasley tells the UN Security Council that 49 million people in 43 countries are already knocking on famine's door. I'm Tim McGuire.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. A new report from the Institute for Research and Education on Human Rights, a think tank that works to defend democracy and human rights, shows more than 1 in 5 state lawmakers around the country have joined at least one far-right Facebook group. The report is the Institute's first attempt to quantify the extent far-right groups have pierced the mainstream of state legislatures around the country. The Wisconsin Public Service Commission voted unanimously on Wednesday to approve the sale of a shuttered nuclear power plant in Kewaunee to a Utah-based company. The PSC rejected arguments from consumer advocates that said the deal did not include provisions that would have returned close to $285 million to customers of Alliant Energy and the Wisconsin Public Service Corporation. The Utah-based company will receive close to $835 million to cover the cost of decommissioning the 49-year-old plant. 14 firms have submitted proposals to redesign the water utility station overlooking Lake Monona in downtown Madison. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Malarkey. The Devil's Advocates invented malarkey.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. Rolling through the happy hour. I got Dom here in the show with me, Fancy Brian as well. Looking for a hero. It's not going to be Bill Bob. I'm just telling you guys. You can play the music, you can pump them up, but Dom's just full of.
The cup is half full, man.
Well, you can join us. The lines are half empty at 844-967-2789. Before we get to the phones, Dom, I wanted to point out what the former is saying today. Donald Trump, stop biting votes.
It's apparently like a broken record, man.
Wading into partisan primary politics in the state of Pennsylvania because, you know, he endorsed in that state. Raw Story reporting Matthew Chapman. On Thursday, former President Donald Trump took to his platform, Truth Social.
Oh, he actually posted something.
It's been like 3 postings now to rage against the election process in Pennsylvania, where Republican primary challenger. Let me try that again. Where Republican primary candidates, Dr. Oz and former hedge fund CEO David McCormick, are separated by fewer than 2,000 votes and an automatic recount seems almost assured. I believe 0.5% in Pennsylvania.
If an automatic recount is assured, then why rail against counting the votes?
Well, because you don't want to actually get to the recount, because what if they counted and they found out his preferred candidate didn't win? They've already stolen it from me once. With no basis whatsoever, this reporting says Trump, who endorsed Oz in the race, accused Pennsylvania officials of finding extra votes and demanding they stop tallying outstanding ballots.
Now, this is the exact same thing he said at his election.
Very, very similar.
Mail-in ballots. What, you're not supposed to count the mail-in ballots, dude?
Now, he already declared victory on behalf of his candidate, much like Donald Trump did on his own election or losing election.
Frankly, we did win this election.
Went out and claimed victory, right? So anyways, the Pennsylvania Oz race is ridiculous. How long does it take to count votes? France, same day, all paper had verified numbers in the evening. Well, yeah, but Macron beat Le Pen by like 10%. U.S. is a laughing stock in elections. Stop finding votes in Pennsylvania. Rigged? Question mark? All caps.
Explain that, because my voters don't get it.
Trump and his allies have repeatedly claimed that delays in calling an election result are indicative of fraud or fake ballots, even though this is a routine occurrence when election results are close, depending on how state law lays out the process for counting. And Oz McCormick's near tie comes after right-wing talk radio host Kathy Barnett.
She was a right-wing talk radio host?
I didn't even know that.
Right.
Who had been previously surging in the polls, failed to produce a strong showing on Tuesday night. Barnett supporters, in turn, are also pushing conspiracy theories about the election because it was stolen from her.
It was Hannity's fault.
The ultimate winner of the Republican primary will go on to face Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman in November
and get their asses kicked. Kurt, I mean, everyone who loses, the race is stolen. That's the MO now. Rigged. It was stolen from
me. And I hope the Republicans are watching closely, or it's going to be taken away from us.
What, a partisan primary? It was only Republican. This is red on red violence now.
I tell you, man.
Well, don't you think on some level the former president is undermining the electorate? And I realize we've talked about this. The big lie, the people that supposedly believe the big lie, it was rigged, and they're the most engaged and most likely to go vote in the midterms. Well, those two things are oxymoronic, them, of course. If it was rigged and you don't think that voting counts, well, why would you be so insistent that I'm going to vote the bums out? Because, of course, it'd be rigged again, or at least that's the way logic would dictate. So, it's all just theatrics. It's sour grapes. They don't want to admit that their guy lost.
Even if they're all Republicans. This is right on right crime.
That one's a rhino, and that one's a traitorous, treasonous traitor.
And the rhino was the one who doesn't agree with you. I mean, let them eat each other, man. I mean, this is amazing.
It is quite fun to watch, kind of from afar. And I've been downright gleeful about what happens this weekend at the Marriott Hotel in Middleton, just down the road from me.
Your backyard, man.
The GOP convention, the state GOP in the great state of Wisconsin, coming to do some sort of a straw poll, endorse whoever's the greatest Stop the Stealer. And now I'm really, really curious because after watching the results, the what's Benito's name in Pennsylvania? The gubernatorial guy that it's not Mastrantonio, it's something similar.
Mastriani or something.
Mastriani or something. Well, anyways, if we look at the example of Pennsylvania, can't we somewhat surmise that if 2/3 of Republicans claim, it was rigged, it was stolen, it was whatever, sour grapes. But if 2/3 of them are of this belief, well, man, then I got to think that Tim Ramtham has got a hell of a good chance of beating back the party Republicans.
Whatever kind of voting they do to determine who the party is going to support, if they even do that.
They do that.
They do that. And well, again, these are special times. Maybe historically they have, and maybe they will, maybe they won't.
In 2012,
Rebecca, the losers,
will
declare that it was rigged against me.
It was a rigged straw poll.
Yes,
somebody dropped multiple beans into the bean counter.
Oh, but there is lasting damage.
But that's already actually happened because the Republicans, strangely, I think it's strange, they offer an endorsement at their state convention. Well, the voters should pick the candidates, to my opinion. At least that's sort of the leaning of the Democratic Party. They might do a straw poll, but they don't endorse the candidate in the same way Republicans historically have. And let's not forget,
if you're doing a straw poll, right? It's the same.
Well,
thing.
That's preference amongst the most party faithful, but that is quite different than the party coming out before 2 months.
No, I get it. Then,
coming out and making a specific endorsement saying, "Here is our chosen candidate
as
the Republican Party."
But isn't that essentially what the straw poll is? I mean, whether you actually come out and officially put it on your stamp on it. I mean, if your party faithful say one thing,
I could tell Kelda Royce was doing pretty good in the Democratic straw polls once upon a time. But it seemed like the party sure did have Tony Evers back.
Did they do the straw poll and Tony Evers won the straw poll?
Kelda actually did well in a few straw polls of official and unofficial sorts.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Tony.
But I guess my point is, the straw poll is an indication of the party faithful anyway. Now, whether or not they officially declare as the GOP, we want Tim Rantham.
Even 1,000. If it's 1,000 attendees at the convention, the Democrats, they're doing theirs into June. La Crosse will be there. I'll be there anyways. I know you've got a prior engagement, but I'll be broadcasting Thursday, Friday, Saturday from the 3rd CD, and Saturday night specifically from the Democratic Party. The party, the convention party. And there'll be 11 senatorial candidates. Now, by then, we'll know whether or not they've qualified for the ballot. At this point, theoretically, a Republican could go out there, garner the endorsement of the party, and still not qualify for the ballot on the Republican side, because you need at least 2,000 signatures. Usually they try to collect substantially more, like 4,000, I think is the cap.
Make sure you have enough.
Make sure you got enough.
Get
I think something like that.
Out. Yeah.
Well, do you think these Republicans between Rantham and Clayfish and Michaels and Nicholson, who's already trying to have it both ways on this endorsement process, because Nicholson, the supposed consultant who's got a little shop down the road here in Waukesha, Nicholson said, "Hey, Republicans, don't offer an endorsement. But if you do, please consider me." You know what I mean? That's the way they play. So anyways, it is different between the two parties. And I think it's antiquated that the Republicans would do it that way. But I think it's going to make for a hell of a good show.
It is a good show. We play while Rome is burning. It's pretty disastrous, these Republicans right now.
You got your violin, Nero?
Got the radio, man.
Our pal Joel Clayfish coming down. I suspect, is he in the shot tonight? Is he doing a live show? Oh yeah.
Last I heard.
I wonder if I'll bump into Joel at the GOP convention tomorrow. I got to think, friends and family talk about nepotism. Joel's going to get dragged onto that thing. Former state lawmaker, first husband.
Have you had the conversation with Joel about the stolen elections?
Yes.
You have off the record conversations about
I have had off the record conversations.
Has he said anything on the record about his thoughts about the election being stolen?
I will just say, and I like Joel. And Joel said to me in all candor, he's like, "Crudy, I 90% trust you." And I said, "Slow down." Slow down. It's not that I'm not trustworthy. It's that, I'm cheering against your wife. Politically on the radio show.
Right.
It's not an act, Joel. I'm cheering against your wife.
Literally, this is what we're doing.
This is what I'm not rooting for. Let's put it that way. And Joel tried to, and it wasn't apolitical talk. We're having a nice, Joel and I don't talk a lot of politics,
right?
Because, I don't want to have a buddy on the phone say, "God, let me tell you how bad your wife is." I wouldn't do that to you or me. We'd all get a little offended. We all love our wives. But he's saying, when you get to know her, Crudy, you're going to have a really hard time not standing in the ballot box, curtains drawn. Come November, Crudy, you're gonna vote for Rebecca Clayfish.
Yeah, how's that abortion thing working out? How's she feel about that, right? How's she feel about the stolen election thing? I mean, you kidding me? For the guy to say something like that, you got like a list of things you can just bang, 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 bang.
Well,
bang.
I didn't want to go real abortion. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go there per se. But
we married dogs?
Yes. Oh, yes. Don't even get me going on that one. Thank you, Brian. Forgot about that.
I did point out to
We
my
married a lamp,
friend Joel,
a table.
I said, I don't know if it's Alex Walker giving her this strategery. I said, but if Rebecca is advocating for a rigged 2020 election, and she did, she effectively said, something smells rigged, or however she phrased it. I said, I could never support a candidate of that sort. I said, that's a deal killer for me. Setting aside abortion and all the other issues that would also be deal killers for me. Let's just talk about fighting for democracy, because I don't think she believes it, but she has taken a political stance at the strategic advice of, one must assume, Alex Walker or some other consultant that's getting paid too much money to give bad advice. But someone along the line gave her the advice, say it's rigged. And Tim Michaels is maybe rigged. And Tim Rantham's absolutely rigged all the way back to 1996. And then Nicholson, I really can't understand what the theory is behind his candidacy. A Democrat that wants to be a Republican, who wants to run for the Senate, but Ron's not leaving. So vote for me for governor.
Vote for me, I'll set you free.
He can walk through crowds very strongly. That
He's a
I know.
strong crowd walker?
Yeah, walks very strongly in a straight line at the camera.
Well, I understand he's a business consultant, similar to Dom.
Oh, yes. I got business cards and everything.
844-967-2789. Let's sneak at least one in here. Our pal Mark from the SAC just saw the party guy the other day. How you doing?
Hey, Mark.
Doing okay. What the hell does Alex Walker know about being a political advisor? Because the guy's got...
Come on, man. We've been talking about nepotism through the whole show.
I mean, he did grow up with Scott Walker, and he's a pretty political guy.
He's a chip off the old wanker.
Yeah, a tip off of a...
Easy.
It just is shocking. I mean, now we see that Gableman is, they're still not producing the documents, and
I'm
Batman destroying the documents that show that the election was not stolen. I mean, and for Rebecca Kleefisch, I mean, it's just the Duchess of Foxconn. I mean, and you look at her eyes. I mean, her eyes just freak me out. I mean, she's this typical spooky-eyed thing that I don't know. I mean, that it's like I don't know if you guys ever watched Babylon 5. But when the right wing took over there in the Earth government, and they had it was like a Fox News cadre running the whole show, giving this Fox News spin on the whole thing, and it was just terrifying. I mean, that is just everything that.
If she had no eyes and didn't hold the policies as she has, she'd actually be a more attractive candidate in every way, shape, or form. Mark, thanks for the call, man.
You ever look into Joel's eyes? Talking about a little spooky. Come back with us.
Joel Kleefisch on the Shaw. 7 o'clock, raised in the Shaw. Devil's Advocates will be right back.
It's wildly off, and dead people voted, and illegals voted.
Okay.
So that's not
I think nowadays these partisan feelings are so strong that people have lost any sense of justice.
You are a rude, terrible person.
A bit snitty.
If you're not happy here, you can leave.
COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. Now is the time to get informed. Get the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
I may never have met you. We don't go way back. Maybe we wouldn't even be friends if we did. But when you wear a mask, you have my respect. Because your mask doesn't protect you. It protects me. I wear my mask to protect you. Mask up, America.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
It's scary. Maybe I am coming a little bit more over the left, but...
Well, it's not left. It's good governance, Dave.
It's good to be exposed to different ideas, and I do appreciate that you do put that out there on the airways, because a lot of times where you just get a little soundbite to this or a little bit of that, and that's the end of it. You're to be commended for that.
Dave, I'm glad you finally come around to commending the greatest radio show ever, man.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks.
This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones as always, toll free at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, sometimes heroes come from unexpected places. And right now, I'd like to acknowledge some heroes out there in the world. Let's call them the Church of Satan. I don't often go to the Only Sky, Kansas as a news source, but today it's appropriate. A Kansas town to put In God We Trust back on their police cars. Now that's a reversal, Dom. They had voted to take them off the police cars, and under pressure from their very religious white nationalist community, they apparently had decided to put In God We Trust back on the police cars. But as the headline here says, there's a twist. Let me read. 2 weeks ago in Haven, Kansas, the city council asked the local police department to remove the In God We Trust decals from vehicles and to stop using their official Facebook page to promote Christianity.
I mean, wait a minute. How do you think they would feel if they use that Facebook page to promote Islam or Hinduism?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Council member Sandra Williams raising concerns about it, correctly noting that those were not the forum to be talking about God. To his credit, Police Chief Stephen Schaefer said he would do whatever the council wanted him to do, even if he didn't agree with it. The second guessing about that move, however, started quickly. Mayor Adam Wright later said there should have been probably a little more discussion before bizarrely claiming the cops needed to look to a higher power.
What?
That's why more eyes than usual were on tonight's meeting. Would the city council cave to the inevitable pressure from the Christian zealots who think their religions stamp deserves to be anywhere and everywhere they want? According to Grant DeMars, a local news channel, KWCH, your news leader, the meeting was packed and some attendees were hoping council members would resign.
Even though those members did absolutely nothing wrong.
By the end of the night, DeMars reported the city council caved under pressure. They voted 3-2 to allow the In God We Trust decals back on the vehicles. The vote occurred after several public comments from the supporters of the Christian nationalist agenda. Mayor Wright said he received hundreds of emails and supported the decals, and that few who opposed them weren't from the city. But church-state separation shouldn't be subject to the popular vote.
Right.
Just because a Christian majority wants to impose its faith on the public doesn't mean elected officials need to go along with it.
Or should go along with it.
This isn't about patriotism or whatever excuse the God people claim it is. It's about pushing the Christian brand of God on every non-Christian in the city. And those non-Christians have been sent a very clear message that they are not safe or welcome in this community because the police department is beholden to one religion and one religion only. But tell the people about the silver lining.
Trudy DeMars noted that the 3 yes votes were hesitant. The council members who flipped did so only after everyone agreed that similar speech from any other religion or lack thereof can also be added to police vehicles.
Now we're talking.
You know what that means. There will now be a race between American atheists and the Satanic Temple to see who can be the first to supply the city of Haven with enough decals highlighting their non-theistic beliefs. I've contacted both groups to see what their plans are, and we'll update the post when I hear back. And Crudy, there's updates.
Oh,
I'm a phenomenon.
The Satanic Temple's spokesperson, Lucian Graves, tells me they will have designs ready by tomorrow.
We got designs.
Update number 2, American Atheist plans to send the city e pluribus unum stickers. President Nick Fish told me certainly a phrase that speaks to how our nation and our community is stronger when we stand together would be more welcome than a divisive exclusionary slogan that alienates almost a third of Americans. And an update number 3, there are some designs that the Satanic Temple is considering sending to Haven, and they put them on the website here.
Can I do one?
Yes, go ahead. So many names.
Here's the first one. Protect, serve, hail Satan. Another, valor, pride, integrity. Hail Satan.
Don't mess with the devil, buddy.
And another, one nation. Hail Satan.
Sign on with the devil.
Duty, honor, community. Hail Satan.
Devil's Triangle.
I like the protect and serve. Hail Satan. And it's like a badge with an upside down pentagon. And there's Satan. He's got the 2 fingers up.
Baphomet. He's got like the little kids.
And the little kids looking up, admiring, the one true God, right?
Update number 4. Our friends from the Freedom from Religion Foundation, they're based right here in Madison, tells me they will also be sending e pluribus unum decals to Haven. These are designs that they have used in the past.
I got to tell you, my favorite, protect, serve, hail Satan. Now, so they're going to put in God we trust, protect, serve, hail Satan.
So I guess
e pluribus unum.
You ever see like the crazy people drive around with all the
It's
crazy
gonna be like
stickers
NASCAR, man.
Exactly, man. There's like a cat in Milwaukee that would have
If you're
this
not first, you're last.
POS, station wagon that he used to drive around. This loaded.
I've
covered-
seen that.
Remember
guy.
that cat, right? You're not going to be able to see out the windows of these cars. While I certainly, appreciate the fact that they're allowing other and or non-religious imagery,
hail Satan.
It's kind of juvenile, but that's kind of the point, right? Do you think that those Christian nationalists get it?
Dominic, I would remind you that we took a Satan devil tree to the Wisconsin State Capitol to interrupt the super spreading.
I don't know what you're
COVID
talking about,
Christmas
man.
carols.
I walked in, that tree was already set up, man. Wasn't me.
So let me point out, I had to do all the work, and you and Fancy Brian were just a little late to the party at the Wisconsin State Capitol when we showed up with the devil tree.
I think you got there early. That's what I think would happen.
Well,
The devil tree by an experience like none other.
I was very proud of that tree. I'd spent hours crafting the ornaments. What's up legally?
Hail Satan. What?
That's my tree.
Nice. Curdy, Hail Satan. You want to see cars with Hail Satan? I mean, and here's a joke. I mean, Satan is a Christian God. It's still honoring Christianity. It's still recognizing Christians.
Much like you, he's a fallen angel.
I haven't fallen. So how about new religion? How about no religion? E pluribus unum. I like that. I like the Freedom from Religion Foundation's take on this.
Well, man, throw the horns. Hail Satan. Protect, serve. Hail Satan.
We do the money next? Get off the money or just add a bunch of stuff to the money?
Oh, to the money?
Yeah.
Can we add Hail Satan to the money?
I mean,
how about some cryptocurrency? That's the devil's lettuce. Come back with us, the Happier Happy Hour. Now with more Dominic and you perhaps as well. Call us 844-967-2789. Don't forget, Hail Satan.
My Satan sense is tingling.
I'm Satan reincarnated.
They warned me Satan would be attractive.
Have at it.
Okily-dokily-do.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them?
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So
you need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio.
I'm Tim McGuire. The GOP-controlled legislature in Oklahoma passes another bill that outlaws all abortions except to save the life of a pregnant woman or if the pregnancy is a result of incest or rape reported to police. The two remaining abortion providers in the state say they'll be forced to close when the governor signs the measure. The Senate passes a bill providing $40 billion in aid to Ukraine. 11 Republicans voted against the measure. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
It appears more and more MAGA Republicans are on the same soft on Putin playbook that we saw used by former President Trump.
President Biden met with the leaders of Sweden and Finland on their request to join NATO. Sweden's Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson.
My government has come to the conclusion that the security of the Swedish people will be best protected within the NATO alliance.
Turkey continues to oppose adding the two Nordic nations to NATO. Peyton Gendron, the white 18-year-old man charged with killing 10 black people at a Buffalo supermarket, briefly appeared in court today. The AP's Carolyn Thompson has details.
Gendron is accused of walking into a Tops Friendly supermarket in Buffalo and shooting 13 people. 10 of them died. All of the victims who died were black. Prosecutors say it was a racist hate crime, and they continue to investigate his numerous online writings which detail his attack.
Investigators say evidence collection at the supermarket has been completed. Tops Market President John Persons pledges to open the store as soon as possible, but says he could not give a timeline. S&P inches closer to a 20% drop, a threshold that defines a bear market. The index lost 0.6% today, now off 18.7% since its record high set earlier in the year. The Dow dropped 0.8%. This is AP News.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive talk from Middleton to Monona, always streaming at DARNWI.com.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today. Summer is now, and it's not too late to make your backyard an oasis. Go Landscaping can create a sanctuary from the world right in your backyard. Stone fireplaces, stone patio, outdoor kitchens, stone is their passion. Hardworking and professional, call Cody. Their dry stone certified mason will help you design and realize your dream this summer. Call Gold Landscaping today at 608-807-9245. Stop dreaming and go love your yard.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Hear history as it happens, only on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to new analysis from the Brown School of Public Health and several other entities, had COVID-19 vaccination not been politicized, more than 5,400 Wisconsinites would still be alive today. To date, just under 13,000 Wisconsinites have died due to COVID-19. The analysis by the Schools of Public Health estimate more than 318,000 Americans could have been saved from the pandemic had nearly everyone eligible been vaccinated once vaccines became widely available. Only 61% of Wisconsinites are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Had the state achieved an 85% vaccination rate last year, nearly 3,000 Wisconsinites could have been saved. And had the state achieved a near 100% vaccination rate, nearly 5,500 could have been saved. Generally cloudy skies expected throughout the day with winds from 10 to 20 miles an hour and a high of 82 degrees. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this evening with some having the potential to be severe. 80% chance for rain with an overnight low of 65 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, rolling into the happier Thursday happy hour. Woo-hoo! Friday Eve, as some like to think of it as. We got Dominic here with me, Fancy Brian. We're broadcasting live in the Shaw, beautiful, glorious Waukesha, Wisconsin. And we got Evan back in the world headquarters, Devil Radio, Madison, Wisconsin, lightly screening the calls here in the happier happy hour at 844-967-2789. Dom, I want to start this hour by talking about what I like to call former Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman. I always like to tag him as corrupted. And I thought about putting in, between the Michael Big Lie Gableman, I thought that could fit nicely, like a middle name. But I prefer what a judge is now saying about the investigation. She's saying of the Gableman investigation, it is run amok and gone rogue.
Is that rogue or rouge?
Well, you'd have to ask Sarah Palin. The reporting at the Journal Sentinel, the former state Supreme Court Justice corrupted, reviewing the 2020 election for Assembly Republicans, has run amok and gone rogue. An exasperated judge said Thursday after getting few answers about why few records of the probe have been withheld from the public.
I mean, why does a judge have to get exasperated? I mean, how about you just
throw his ass in jail?
Right. No exasperation. Just give me what we need, or you're in contempt of court.
The comments from Dane County Circuit Judge Valerie Bailey Ryan came as an attorney for Assembly Speaker Robin Voss of Rochester argued he could not force ex-justice corrupted Michael Gableman to turn over documents to the court.
Oh, you could maybe not pay him till he does.
Well, they've already cut his salary.
Well, I mean, but like literally,
man's got to live.
Like Office Space. Just don't pay them. It'll fix itself.
What about the per diem, though? And the travel money? He still gets that, right?
Someone's got to send him a check. You know what I mean? Cancel the cards, cancel the phone, cancel the car payment, cancel the lease, cancel the checks.
Here's the statement from the judge, because I'm not even listening to you. What you're telling me is Mr. Voss hired a contractor who should be under his control and direction, and he's just run amok and is flatly refusing to follow any of the court's guidance or orders that subject Mr. Voss to liability. Later, she said corrupted Gableman appears to have gone rogue. She made the comments Thursday after Voss's attorney, Ronald Stadler, said he didn't have the authority to search Gableman's computer and smartphone, telling her, I don't have control over Mr. Gableman. Bailey Ryan said she was skeptical that Gableman and the assembly had met the requirements of the open records laws because they had not offered a detailed account of how they searched for records sought by the liberal group American Oversight. That leads me to think that they're hiding something, or they don't want to tell this court what they've turned that they've turned over all the records, because they haven't. Voss gave Gableman, big taxpayer chunk to investigate the election that Joe Biden won, but they keep fighting over. And American Oversight filed a string of records requests and brought 3 lawsuits. When it didn't get documents, it said it was owed.
Bailey Ryan said part of the reason there is a dearth of records from the assemblies because some of those who were hired to assist Gableman did little for weeks that they were paid by taxpayers. Quote, the reality is, at least as to some of the contractors, they said, we did nothing for a month and a half and got paid. Okay, that's at least an answer to this court that they don't have any records because they didn't do anything. They got paid by the taxpayers, but they didn't do anything. She also found
sweet job if you can get it.
She found Speaker Robin Voss of Rochester in contempt of court in March for the assembly's handling of records. She said Thursday she would not lift the contempt finding for now and would start fining Voss if he does not remedy the situation or more fully explain why Gableman does not have more records he can make public. Gableman has conducted his work in secret and published 2 reports that mostly rehash the finding of others who've been critical of how the elections were conducted.
Dominic, there's really some extraordinary reporting at the Madison.com. Same topic, same judge, a few different statements quoted. If you gentlemen will indulge me briefly, the judge we referenced, Valerie Bailey Ryan, and the frustration, right? Well, here's the quote. She's directing Stadler, the attorney for Voss. He's supposed to be getting the records. He's, I don't know how to get the records. I don't control the records. It isn't as simple as Commissioner Gordon turning on the bat light and summoning Batman, Stadler said. Somebody has to see it. Somebody has to respond to it. I don't have control over Mr. Gableman. See, that's a slightly different quote. And the judge responded, this isn't Batman because you know who this person is. He doesn't have an alternative identity that's hidden in the shadows. The open records law was designed to bring sunshine into state government for everyone. A little bit more from the judge. Bailey Ryan said earlier this month she was astounded that she had to order the Republicans to hire Gableman to tell him to stop deleting requested public records. Her order follows a similar demand last month by Dane County Circuit Judge Frank Remington, ordering Gableman to not delete or destroy any records that may be responsive to, the liberal watchdog American Oversight's original request.
Another quote
it's almost like they're not responsive, Dom.
Another quote from the judge. I don't want to hold Speaker Voss and the assembly in contempt just to have the taxpayers pay more money for something that should be easily resolved. So I'm going to give you one more crack at purging the contempt, and that is getting an affidavit from Mr. Gableman, or I'm going to start assessing monetary fines. Come on, man. You better rein in this bulldog, Voss.
Do you see the other quote from the judge? That leads me to think they're hiding something.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to tell this court that they've turned over all the records because they haven't. And that's something that perhaps Speaker Voss has to address, that his own people are running amok. You're the speaker, Voss.
You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Now, Voss, who had previously indicated plans to begin wrapping up Gableman's review by the time his contract expired at the end of April, that's before what? Gableman went down to Mar-a-Lago and told Trump to turn up the heat. And then he went on the Steve Bannon podcast and said, turn up the heat. And then suddenly he got a contract extension. President Donald Trump, who continues to push unfounded claims of widespread election fraud, pressured Republicans to continue with the effort. And last week, Voss paused Gableman's probe, paused to allow time for 5 pending lawsuits related to the review to play out in court, and cut in half Gableman's monthly salary from the taxpayers from $11,000 to $5,500. Now, Bailey Ryan ordered Stadler and Voss to provide Gableman with an affidavit detailing his obligation to provide the requested documents. What, like the man can't read a freaking newspaper article? Of course.
Maybe not. Have you seen his writing? Have you seen his rulings? You see how he presents himself? It's entirely possible the man can't read.
So as you pointed out, before she pours on the monetary fines, going to give them one last
more
chance to do the right thing, because, Republicans always do the right thing.
The plaintiffs in this, the American Oversight, their chief counsel, Dan Schwager, said that Voss's unwillingness to take the basic steps necessary to get these records released demonstrates a clear contempt for the law and Wisconsin voters. It's time.
And the court. And
everybody, yes.
You and what army are going to make me stop destroying the records or produce them publicly?
It's time for Speaker Voss and the Assembly to stop letting Mr. Gableman hide the ball and comply with the public's right to transparency. Well, I mean, it's up to the judge, but she makes a great point. Well, I mean, great, you're going to, assess fines on the Voss and Gableman. They're
pass through to the taxpayers.
Paid by the taxpayers that, and then what goes into where do the fines go? The court's account, which are, the taxpayers. I mean, this entire thing is totally ridiculous. And if Robin Voss can't get a hold of Gableman, or this is how they're going to do their work, the whole thing, she should come out and put everybody in contempt and fine the hell out of them. But ultimately, though, Crudy, isn't there the possibility that there's really no records because they didn't do anything? I mean, if you're going to regurgitate other people's grievances about how Wisconsin conducted their elections, and that's the essence of your reports, I mean, that's transcribing hell, man. That might even be plagiarism. And you know how the Republicans hate plagiarism here in the state of Wisconsin. So maybe literally, I mean, we talk about the grift, literally, maybe there's no records because they didn't do anything.
Well, as the judge pointed out, then admit that. You already got the money, right? You already got the money. What's the clawback provision? They're not going to get the taxpayers' money back. Anything under 700,000, whatever the magic threshold is, until they exceed that amount, that arbitrary amount set by Voss, he doesn't care.
But is he using Gableman? I'm speaking of it. Is he using his personal computer? Is he using a personal cell phone?
Dude, if they're truly doing a liposuction office share out in Brookfield, you talk about these interviews, these transcripts, these documents, these public records. How can you secure chain of custody when you're sharing a liposuction clinic? And you got the Thomas More
don't worry.
Foundation.
You got Cardall there with you, man.
Cardall, the lawyer.
He's an attorney. I mean, what?
Is he still? I don't know. I know Rudy's a former attorney. And not just
states. Depends on where
he has been disbarred in the state of New York, has he not? Do you see this week, Ted Cruz? They filed an ethics complaint specifically to try and take Ted Cruz's law license, or at least his ability to practice law. That's Dingle. Well,
they all deserve. I mean, literally, if you're going to have some sort of respect for justice in this country, and those kind of cats should not have a law license to practice.
What a strange analogy, though. I mean, Gableman. He's not Batman.
He's Batman. No, he's not.
You're not Batman.
No.
Who's the? I mean, there's several chubby villains. I mean, he's like he ate the penguin, something like that. Come back. More devil's advocates. It's a happy hour.
The pen is truly mightier than the sword.
Shame on you.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
You got nothing.
You get that every time.
Reservations at your favorite restaurant.
I've been trying to reduce gluten. You don't want to know why. Thanks so much for waiting. Your table's ready.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Perfect. Thanks.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
You recall the Capitol insurrection? A post ABC News poll showed 54% said Trump should be criminally charged for inciting the riot. That's like a litany of criminal allegations against the former president. You can say it's all partisanship and a witch hunt, but there wasn't one credible accusation against Obama during his entire 8-year term. So how Republicans just ignore all the evidence? I mean, he was perpetrating a coup on multiple levels.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. God, I love that tune, man. Some great grunge music from the college days. Thank you for playing that, Brian. You can join us on the phones. If you like that tune, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, your buddy, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, trying to dismiss the actions of my buddy, Minocqua Super PAC, Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC, Kirk Bangstead. Now, Kirk funded the action. There are actual plaintiffs, and they got real lawyers, and they're suing to try and keep Ron Johnson off the federal ballot.
And Rep. Scott Fitzgerald and Rep. Tom Tiffany.
Well, that is also true, but I am only really speaking at this second to the lawsuit against Ron Johnson. He's the one seeking the dismissal. But a group of voters suing to prevent Rojo and Scotty Fitz and Tom Tiffany, Toxic Tom, pardon me, from holding public office is fighting an effort by the congressmen to dismiss the lawsuit. In March, a group of 10 voters filed a lawsuit against Fitzgerald, Johnson, and Tiffany for their role in the attempt to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential. Hell, didn't Fitzy get the false electors the room at the Wisconsin State Capitol?
Did.
Johnson and Tiffany both voted against certifying the election results on January 6, 2021. They were both elected to Congress on the very same ballot that they voted to decertify.
Same ballot, same day, same election.
They had never, well, I can't remember if Tiffany had snuck into that seat on an earlier special election, but they were basically both freshman congressmen. They'd only been on the job 3 days when they voted to decertify the election.
Well, you gotta, show that you're a team member, man. I mean, they're not going to let you come to the coke-fueled orgies if you don't step up and do your duty as a insurrectionist bastard Republican.
Nobody wants Fitzy at the coke-fueled orgies. Now, Johnson, who initially signaled his intent to do the same, backed off after the deadly attack on the Capitol, but has frequently shared baseless accusations of election fraud. And the lawsuit, aided by the funding of the liberal Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC, argues that under Article 3 of the 14th Amendment, the 3 Republicans can be barred from office because they took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, but they engaged in an insurrectional rebellion against the U.S. Here is a quote, Dom. Unfortunately, defendants and their fellow Trump acolytes were not just telling lies about the election results and voting processes in Wisconsin and elsewhere, the lawsuit reads, while they were spreading their malicious falsehoods about a rigged election through regular and social media and at public appearances. Johnson, Tiffany, Fitzgerald, and Trump, and many others identified this complaint or still unknown to the public, and the plaintiffs were also engaged in a conspiracy whose illegal objective was to hijack the joint session. We've talked about this, Tom. 2 coups. There was the mob coup, which was the cover, but there was an actual coup against the vice president and the democracy. That was the procedural coup, the Green Bay swoop,
but it's the same coup. It's not 2 coups. I mean, I know, I understand what you're saying, but
it was 2 pincer movements.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a conspiracy.
Yes.
I mean, literally, this was a planned, multifaceted, multi-level action to try and overturn the election, man.
The members of Congress seeking to have this lawsuit dismissed, they tell the court, first, this court lacks jurisdiction over the plaintiff's declaratory judgment action because they lack standing and because the U.S. Constitution grants Congress sole authority to decide challenges to members' qualifications. Second, even if the court has jurisdiction, it does not. Plaintiff failed to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Congress has removed the disabilities imposed by the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment disqualification clause, and plaintiffs identified no protected personal rights to vindicate under the Declaratory Judgment Act. Senator Johnson respectfully requests that the court dismiss the plaintiff's complaint with prejudice.
Crudy, now the voters.
Some say that Ron shows a little prejudice, but that's a different story.
The voters are fighting the motion to dismiss, arguing that being forced to debunk continued false allegations of election fraud has injured their right to advocate for their preferred policies. A quote, a declaration from this court will redress plaintiffs' First Amendment injury, allowing them to focus their political activism on the policy issues that matter to them rather than debunking the big lie and speaking out against those who continue to support it, an opposition motion states. So long as the air remains clouded by a failure to resolve the constitutional questions that plaintiffs have raised, their rights are being impaired. Harry Redmond reporting at the Wisconsin Examiner.
My rights are being impaired right now, Dom. I got to talk about the big lie. I got to talk about Gableman, this overstuffed sausage of contemptuous bastard that will not follow the directive of the court.
Law and order.
Now think about that. Think about if it was liberals
if it was
failing.
If he was the justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, how would he react to that?
Dominic, he's a perhaps credible, maybe not, subpoenas under very questionable circumstances. He wants a judge to jail people for failing to respond to his subpoena to come testify at the liposuction clinic, not in public, not before the assembly, which if the subpoena has any credibility whatsoever, it only comes from the elections committee of the assembly under which it's extended. So anyways, man.
So, I mean, you remember the good old days when hypocrisy mattered?
I don't know how this bastard, and I mean Gableman, corrupted former Supreme Court justice.
Please clarify. There's so many.
Office of Special Counsel.
Not really.
Well, that's what he thinks he is. We, the taxpayers, are paying his salary, right? And this guy completely ignores the courts and law and order. I mean, I think there should be some prejudice extended towards this man. I think it's time for the courts to put down their heel on his toes.
Maybe you should take away his license to practice law.
Oh, disbar him ethically. This is a problem. You know who would decide? The Wisconsin Supreme Court, ironically, which he's no longer a part of. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. You can be a part. Call us 844-96-PARTY.
Well, they're doing far more than dismissing me.
Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're gonna lose.
This is a very...
You know what? I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than a hot sausage, couple 2 or 3 cold beers, and Devil Radio on the box.
Here on Devil Radio, the happy hour is always the happiest hour of the day. If you want to end your day on a high note, join the happy hour at the all-new Dark Horse Art Bar, 756 East Washington Ave, right next to Salvatore's Tomato Pies. Happy hours now Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. with drink and wine specials and $1 slices. And always free parking in our building. The Dark Horse Art Bar. Enjoy this unique, funky, cool space. Surround yourself with art with featured local, regional, and national artists. New shows each month. Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dane County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just
Ukraine funding. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. The Senate passes an additional $40 billion for Ukraine. President Biden is expected to quickly sign the bill. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby talks about what the money may be used for.
We already have some thoughts about future systems and material that'll go. I don't want to get ahead of the decisions yet, because there's a process here that has to play out in terms of what we propose to the Ukrainians, the back and forth we have with them, and then what ultimately the president authorizes.
Oklahoma's Republican-dominated legislature approves a bill barring all abortions with few exceptions. The two remaining providers in the state say they would stop performing the procedure as soon as the governor signs the bill. The measure is part of an aggressive push by GOP-led states to roll back abortion rights across the country. It comes on the heels of a leaked draft opinion from the U.S. Supreme Court suggesting justices are considering weakening or overturning Roe v. Wade that legalized abortion nearly 50 years ago. I'm Tim McGuire.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-597-2010. That's 1-800-597-2010. 1-800-597-2010. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow with headlines and commentary about what's happening in Wisconsin this week. On our social media pages, you'll see a video made by restaurant owners from the area when they were in D.C. the other day, pleading with Ron Johnson to replenish a pandemic relief fund. Thousands of restaurant jobs could be at stake, they said. But in the end, on Thursday afternoon, Johnson voted no, and Senate Republicans killed the bill with a filibuster. Along with voting against small businesses, every Wisconsin Republican in the House voted against helping out with the baby formula crisis. Instead of getting the factories running again and running safely, both Ron Johnson and Congressman Tom Tiffany tried to claim the real problem isn't a contaminated factory. It's that immigrant babies in detention centers are allowed to get formula. It's not really clear what they wanted to happen to those babies instead. For these stories and more, find us on social media at Up North News WI.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
Anybody
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the happier happy hour, the Friday Eve edition. You can be a part, 844-967-2789. You know, commercial breaks come up and I go cruising on my favorite dark MAGA site.
All right, finish your thought. Then we got to talk about that just briefly.
I go to the Ross story. And there are all sorts of tantalizing headlines at the Ross story, including one about the dark MAGA. Let's talk about the dark MAGA for just a moment. Apparently, Madison Cawthorn, the recently defeated, soon-to-be former congressman from North Carolina, that guy with a lot of youthful indiscretions,
and he's so youthful,
right up the current. Anyways, that guy, what's calling for a dark MAGA movement, Tom? Is that like the dark web?
I think so.
Isn't Truth Social already the dark MAGA movement?
Really? So, I mean,
get her.
If that's what you want,
Get her. That's your plan. Get her.
If that's what you want is a dark MAGA, then I got to ask you. I mean, so MAGA's done being all cheery and positive and fun-loving. Now we got to make it dark. I mean,
now it's going to be all eyes wide shut at the coke-fueled orgies, man.
Cawthorn, according to the Raw story, took to Instagram where he posted a photo of people who stood with him. Quote, when the establishment turned their guns on me, when the Uniparty coalesced to defeat an America First member, very few people had my back. This list includes the lion's share of figures that came to my defense when it was not politically profitable, he wrote. The list included Senator Rand Paul, Reps Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Wait, is this the good list or the bad
list? This is his good list.
These are
people. These are
my only friends.
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
Along with Fox News personality Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon, among others.
Nothing.
These are honorable men and women who are the type of friends anyone yearns to have, he claimed. Cawthorn said he has a new mission in life now that he lost.
What about his one congressional aide, the guy he was naked in the bed with? Didn't he make the good friends list?
Right.
Using the whole fist doc? Using the whole fist doc?
Because that seems like a really good friend, if you know what I'm saying.
There are other national figures who I believe are patriots, but I am on a mission now to expose those who say and promise one thing, yet legislate and work towards another. Self-profiteering.
That's all of them.
Globalist goal. It's time for genteelly spelled Gentile, politics, as usual, to come to an end. It's time for the rise of the new right. It's time for dark MAGA to truly take command.
It's going to be the days of Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dr. Gosar.
And Dark Helmet?
It's not going to be the days of Paul Ryan and Trey Gowdy.
Dark MAGA.
Or Madison Cawthorn, apparently.
Well, he's got a new mission now because you can't get paid to, do the jackassery that he was engaged in. I mean, did the guy ever cast a vote? I mean, what a joke.
Is that important that you do?
Is that part of the job?
I'm pretty sure he probably voted against the baby formula and the domestic terrorism.
Well, you got to vote against domestic terror. I mean, half the Republicans might be subject to arrest because that's how they roll now. The dark MAGA, baby, it's coming. Madison Cawthorn, he is wheels up for dark MAGA.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
On the Dark Helmet speaks. Oh my God.
As I played the Raw Story Roulette, but I found is the most intriguing headline du jour. You know what I'm saying? Just what's Raw Story got up there? Well, here's the one that caught my attention, Dom. Trump appointed judge orders sanctions against Mike Lindell for frivolous election lawsuit. Now, there's a Bloomberg report, but I went to Raw Story. I'm contrary to you. You try to pretend like you're not sourcing from Raw Story. You go to like the better article, the more prestigious news source.
Sometimes Raw Story, the authors have a nice twist on what the official reporting is, so I can appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it can't be all Raw Story. It can't be all raw all the time.
Oh yeah, it can. I'm all down for the raw stuff.
What's with you, man? Come on.
Get nothing but the raw story, the truth. So anyways, on Thursday, Bloomberg Law reported, as annotated at the Raw Story, that MyPillow CEO and pro-Trump election conspiracy theorist and former crackhead, that's
former? Are you sure about that?
No.
Okay, I mean, admitted.
I walked around with our sales guy today, Johnny. We're making some good deals here in the lovely community that is Waukesha. And we couldn't find our address. And it shouldn't be that difficult. It's not that big a downtown district.
Right.
And Johnny said, man, I got to lay off the crack. And this was much earlier today. And I said, well, morning crack is the best crack of the day. Just ask Mike Lindell. So anyways, back to Mike Lindell, Trump election conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell, an alleged former crackhead, could be true.
No, admitted,
yes. Alleged former crackhead.
Do you admit being a crackhead if you weren't really a crackhead is for fun?
Hey man, that guy throws out defamation lawsuits like former Trump rape victims.
No, like literally Mike Lindell, when talking about his terrible drug habit back in the day, we've discussed this before. That's why he couldn't sleep, right? That's why he invented the pillow.
Do you think he used to score from Tucker's neighbor Hunter?
It's over. Nothing matters anymore.
The My Pillow is so you could go to sleep after nights of
I think maybe
crack fueled.
That's why he wasn't sleeping well. It was from the meth or from the crack. It wasn't from the poor pillow he had.
So I'm serious. If you have any moral character about you, we're all in this together.
Carpe diem. I mean, he's just saying stuff. No. So say we all.
Mike Lindell and his attorneys face sanctions for a frivolous lawsuit seeking to overturn the 2020 presidential election. I mean, this guy's been promising a lot. He's written a few checks with his mouth that his ass and his lawyers can't cash. Kind of like Trump's lawyers. And everyone that works for Trump, as we understand it, reportedly.
Please continue.
The decision was handed down by federal judge Carl Nichols, an appointee of former President Donald Trump.
Come on, man.
You can't trust a Trump appointee. A federal judge in Washington on Thursday imposed sanctions on Lindell and his former lawyers as part of the decision throwing out the CEO's defamation lawsuits against Dominion Voting Systems Incorporated and Smartmatic Corp, which were falsely placed at the center of a vast conspiracy theory after the election. Lindell, let's just call him an outspoken supporter of former President Donald Trump, filed a suit after the company sued him for defamation over his election fraud claims. Nichols said the CEO failed to properly allege a conspiracy by the two companies. Oh, you want to see a conspiracy? Look behind you, Mike.
Don't tell him that. You won't sleep for weeks.
Nichols said the CEO, apparently that's Lindell, failed to properly allege a conspiracy. See, I allege all the time, Dom. Properly. He failed to properly allege a conspiracy by the two companies or back up his claim that they defamed him. Oh, no evidence?
Weird.
That works on Fox News. The judge also partially granted Smartmatic's motion for sanctions and fees. The amount will be decided later. So the court's going to fine him effectively, right? And Lindell has repeatedly claimed with no evidence that he is on the verge of reinstating Trump to office with his legal actions. I thought it was, August 13th of 2021. Wasn't that when the Messiah was going to rise from?
He's given many dates.
The grave.
Lots of
By
dates.
the time the morning of August 13th, it'll be the talk of the world.
63% of the time. Me and Mike Lindell are right every time.
It was great. It's crack. It gets you really.
Concluding here from the Raw story, the CEO claimed in his lawsuit that Dominion and Smartmatic weaponized the courts in an act of lawfare against him to silence him. Lindell has said all the evidence of the conspiracy he alleges is on his website, and the Supreme Court will eventually expose it and rule in his favor.
Well, he might have a point. If he could get in front of the very partisan U.S. Supreme Court, there's a chance.
These days,
that 6-3 court, I mean, they'd lose Roberts. But the rest of them, Kavanaugh, Cody Barrett,
I want to party with you, cowboy.
Oh, I think you'd have a fighting chance. Sneak a little crack in. I mean, Kavanaugh is going to be a sucker for crack.
I love beer. And
allegedly. It's allegedly. You never can tell how someone's going to react to
Mike Lindell
smoking crack for the first time.
True that.
If it were
sometimes I had too many beers.
Mike Lindell, when talking and discussing his drug problems in the past, has been quoted in saying that, I think it was in Minnesota, right? That like the three biggest drug dealers in town were not going to sell to him anymore because he was just He was gone. He was too far gone. He was up for days. And one of the drug dealers actually stayed with him.
When a drug dealer finds his conscience and says, I'm not going to sell you
Not only going to
drugs.
not sell with you, but I'm going to stay with you for a little while because you're kind of losing it, dude. Yeah, like that kind of crackhead. When your crack dealer is concerned about your welfare,
maybe you should push away.
I'm just. And then now he did, and now he took all that energy and focused on pillows and overthrowing the United States government.
Well,
maybe sit the next couple plays out.
Well, they say nothing worse than a dry drunk.
Oh,
you think a dry drunk's bad? Dry crackhead,
that's
really
bad. That's Lindell for sure.
844-967-2789. All the talk of crackheads is brought on our buddy Dick from the garage. How's the crack smoking, Dick?
God.
Hey, Dick.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we lived through 8 years of a dry drunk under Bush.
Yes, we did.
You know?
See, Dom never dries out.
Well, see, I'm not a quitter, Dick.
He's like a sponge.
Hey, did you see the former guy? What's his name? Bush was talking about the invasion,
a little Freudian slip,
the bloody and uncalled for invasion by one man of Iraq. I mean Ukraine. My bad.
Yeah, he snitched on himself a little.
He
bit,
actually told the truth for a second.
Yeah, right.
Deep fake news.
Earlier, I heard CJ bloviating again and wouldn't answer the question to Brian about, all of these Republicans voted against this price gouging thing. And, they were literally in a price war under Trump, $40, $50 a barrel. And a lot of companies went under in this country because they just couldn't compete. But the Saudis still won't up production. And then last but not least, I think he's old enough. I didn't meet him the other night. Wished I would have. But the next little snafu they always throw at you this time of year, right before Memorial Day. Oh, we got to change to the summer blend. So add another 5 cents. And it's just, and then how much in subsidies do these companies get? And for what reason?
Well, we call them perks, Dick, because they get depletion. When they suck the raw material out of the earth, the oil, they get to write off the raw material because they've depleted their source.
Their asset has diminished.
And then they also get to refine it into a finished product and sell that for profit as well. And my understanding is very profitably. Dick, they're having record profits.
Historic record profits.
Barn buster profits.
Yep. It's just, and that's all fine with these people. They won't look at the real truth of what's going on. And for 50 years, this has been going on with oil companies.
Appreciate the call, Dick. When I was a kid, sniffing gas was cheaper than buying crack.
You ever eat paint chips as a kid?
Didn't everybody? Come back with us, the Devil's Advocates radio show. Did you hear about Rojo? He's just subtly sort of great replacement theory adjacent.
Light?
Not so light, not so subtle. We'll tell you about it. Come back, more Devils.
You know how cute I always thought you were.
I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Leave me alone. Yet, I find you strangely attractive. Moon River.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Mitch McConnell did make a public statement, right? After he voted to acquit, oh, nothing says the president can't be prosecuted. Set the example for your caucus.
Convince your caucus as to why the man is not fit to serve. How do you not use your leadership? Say, you guys, this is crazy. We can't do this, and here is exactly why. Because now of the two major political parties, one of them is under the thumb of a fascist insurrectionist.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
Look through your children's eyes, and you will discover the true magic of a forest.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of this Friday Eve happy hour. We still always have time for our fair audience at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, earlier in this big show, I talked about Ron Johnson and the great replacement theory. And he says he's absolutely not a racist, and he would never, espouse the great replacement theory. But he kind of did. Now, the ADL, the American Anti-Defamation League, said effectively, Senator Ron Johnson, while more subtle than others promoting GRT, the great replacement theory, touches on the theory in recent statements. So anyways, I went to the statement. I don't want to mischaracterize what it is the guy said, but he went on a radio program and he did say a couple of things. Johnson charged President Joe Biden was politicizing the Buffalo tragedy. Now, this was on WSAU, and this was 2 days ago, telling WSAU it is, as the Wall Street Journal described, what he's doing is despicable. What the Democrats are doing, trying to blame conservatives for the deranged actions of a deranged individual. Now, Biden is the one that said great replacement theory during his speech. Biden went to Buffalo. And his spokesperson, Ron's Rojo spokesperson, said this blatantly political attempt by the media and the Democrats to blame Republicans for a deranged killer in Buffalo is despicable. But a little bit later in the article, they talk about what Ron said in a May 2nd interview on KOA in Denver, also a radio program. I'm going to quote 2 paragraphs from our former frequent guest. The only thing I can think of, the only thing that makes sense is that they want to let a lot of people in. They want to let them in. They want to get credit as Democrats for letting a bunch of people in this country illegally and then set up a system of voting that's all mail-in balloting where you can send out ballots. You have no control over who's voting, whether they're citizens or non-citizen, whether they're eligible or not, and they can basically remake the electorate. So they establish themselves in permanent power as a one-party state. So they complete their fundamental transformation, in other words, their fundamental destruction of this country. I don't know why they want to do that, but as best as I can understand is what they want to do. Well, that is the great replacement theory. That's not subtle. That's not adjacent. That's espousing exactly what Tucker Carlson said. So I'm just wondering, next time you see Ron out there walking on the streets, I'm gonna have to pin him down on this issue, Dom. Yeah, I've gotten lots of press releases from Ron of late. He's been going out doing these little
he's running for
interpersonal events.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm gonna have to go see Ron in the near future. Ask him where he really stands. And they'll say Joseph Project.
Yeah, he'll always say Joseph Project. Well, I think that bodes the greater question. The RNC right now between Milwaukee and Nashville. Opinion piece in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. I'm not going to read all of it. We posted up on the Devil's Advocates Facebook page. You can go and check it out there. But they go through the litany of grievances with, Republicans these days. I'm not going to get into that because really, I mean, we all know why we wouldn't want, Nazis and white nationalists and those types here. I mean, hell, this is the RNC. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, they're going to be here too. Those kinds of folks. Cawthorn. Nah.
Manafort.
So we know all of that. I don't want to repeat any of that. But what is the issue? Of course, the issue is the economic benefit of a convention coming to your city, right? A couple of things I want to point out. We can always take your calls, 844-967-2789. But here is what I thought was the relevant piece of this article at the Journal Sentinel. Proponents of the RNC parrot the myth, as they claim, that hosting convention will bring fame and fortune to the city. However, actual economic benefit to host cities have been negligible. Fortune magazine's summary analysis is unambiguous. Cities may vie to host political conventions, lured by promises of millions of visitor dollars and a chance to shine in the national spotlight, but seldom, if ever, do they reap much benefit. Then Cleveland, Crudy, we'll get back to this.
Okay.
The most comprehensive study on the matter was conducted by Robert Bade, Robert Bauman, and Victor Matheson. They analyzed every city hosting Republican and Democratic national conventions between 1970 and 2004 and concluded that neither party's presence had a discernible impact on employment, personal income, or personal income per capita in the cities where the events were held.
The 70s to 2004.
Correct.
Okay, so that's kind of getting be old history, but go ahead.
There are no significant wage gains for local employees, according to their report. The economic gain from the event does not accrue to the host city, but rather benefits the bottom line back at corporate headquarters. Obviously, many downtown hotels are headquartered in other states, and if the Republican convention follows the Democratic Party model in 2020, almost half the hotel rooms booked will not be in Milwaukee, but in Illinois. Moreover, the money spent by convention goers generally replaces or crowds out money that would have been spent by other visitors to Milwaukee or by hometown residents who stay away from the downtown when large conventions arrive. Locally owned hotels, Airbnb owners, caterers, security forces, taxi drivers will indeed profit from the convention, but some businesses inside the high security convention zone are likely to lose money because Secret Service will require them to be closed for the week. Even parking revenue will take a hit since parking decks will be shut down as part of anti-terror measures. Inviting, and here's what they say, inviting a political party that caters to white supremacists like the Proud Boys, the Klan, the Oath Keepers will not benefit Milwaukee's citizens. And what message does it send to our children that we are willing to sacrifice our civic values and self-respect to add largesse to a few political consultants, national chain hotels, and Airbnb owners? Milwaukee should just say no to the Republican National Convention. Authoritarians and white supremacists are not welcome here. It's time to put the people of this city and our commitment to middle-class jobs, equality, and democracy first. Michael Rosen, economics, and Charlie D., American Studies, are retired faculty from the Milwaukee Area Technical College and leaders of American Federation of Teachers, Local 212.
I'm all twisted up about those political conventions. We were supposed to have the DNC, and we had a little shop about a mile away from the DNC grounds. And of course, it
would have been glorious, but COVID.
But that was supposed to be the Democrats. Now, if the Republicans come, we'd be right in the heart of it, right here in Waukesha County, right? In the Shaw. But I got to say, if I'm going to go party somewhere, no offense to Milwaukee, but I partied in Milwaukee before, man. I have never partied in Nashville, and I don't know about those stiff Republicans, but when I go down there and I cover the event, I guarantee I'll bring my wallet, I'll bring my cowboy boots.
Do you have cowboy boots?
No.
Yeah, right.
Gas mask, probably.
Oh, I got your gas mask. I'll bring it in. So yes or no? Not
10-gallon
do you take the white authority? Do you give them an opportunity? Do you give them a platform in Milwaukee?
Yes, because then we can expose them for the corrupt bastards that they are. You and I, personally. But that's sort of a selfish, myopic look at it. But that's what we do, man. Radio show. It's our conversation, and you can listen to it. Appreciate you doing so today. Thank you, Vance Bryan. Thank you, Evan. Thank you all for listening. Tune in again tomorrow, Friday, for the grievances. But we won't be in the shop, so,
that's the grievance.
Turn us loose.
Having this all come out into public has exposed things that didn't need to be exposed.
To launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Believe me. Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.